A thug loomed over him, sneering, asking if he had the guts to fight. But Xiangshu didn't waste breath on words. He answered with a flurry of brutal punches straight to the face. The bully collapsed, sobbing in the dirt while the crowd gasped in disbelief. They saw a rookie in a police uniform, but the soul inside was the world's deadliest assassin, reborn to rain vengeance upon the mafia. But before the violence erupted, the fuse was lit by a desperate plea. A frantic woman flagged down a patrol car, shouting for help. She pointed toward a dark alley, crying out that a girl was in grave danger. The officers nodded, promising to investigate. Yet, the moment she vanished, the driver let out a heavy sigh. He grumbled, suggesting they just clock out and go home, his face twisted with annoyance. His partner frowned, pointing toward the shadows, insisting they had a duty to intervene. But the senior officer just scoffed. He claimed the area was crawling with gangsters, far above their pay grade. Even if they tried, he argued, to small-time cops would only make the chaos worse. This wasn't the first incident, and he was sick of it. To him, justice was just a nuisance getting in the way of his evening. Suddenly, a thunderous voice commanded them to release the girl. The officers in the car whipped around, shocked to see their own colleague marching into the alley. The gang leader sneered, asking what this rookie wanted. Xiangshu stood like a mountain, calmly ordering them to let her go. The thug laughed, stepping close enough to invade his personal space. He blew a cloud of cigarette smoke right into the young officer's face, asking what he planned to do about it. Xiangshu didn't blink. With lightning speed, he delivered a bone-crushing uppercut to the man's jaw. The cigarette tumbled to the pavement along with its owner. The thug writhed in agony while onlookers froze, their eyes wide with shock. The protagonist glared down, warning that he would force them to comply. Music rises, the leader scrambled up, screaming for backup, and his minions swarmed in for the kill. It was futile. Xiangshu struck again. A single devastating blow that sent the leader flying through the air like a ragdoll. Watching from the safety of their car, the corrupt officers were flabbergasted. Meanwhile, the thug groaned from the dirt, spewing curses. Desperate, he reached into his coat and flashed a gleaming blade. He snarled that the cop would regret crossing him today. Xiangshu didn't flinch. He stared down the steel, asking with chilling calm if the man actually had the nerve to use it. The thug swore he would end him right there. But the protagonist scoffed, noting that the man lacked the cold, dead eyes of a true killer. The criminal stammered, his confidence crumbling. Xiangshu stepped forward, daring him to take the shot. He pointed the blade at his own chest, mocking the thug. He warned that a single mistake would cost the criminal his life, sending terror flooding into the aggressor's eyes. The blade clattered to the ground. Terrified, the thug backed away, demanding to know who this monster really was. The protagonist gripped the man's shoulder, his grip like iron. He replied that he was the nightmare who stopped scum like him. He flashed his police cap, delivering a final, stinging reprimand. Justice had returned to the streets. 1 week prior, the winds of fate blew at the port of Yin. A man cracked open a cargo crate, facing a gathering of shadows. He introduced himself as the legendary agent, by guang*. Music intensifies his partner, Dan Feng*, checked his gear, asking coldly why he was late. He accused by guang* of arrogance, asking if he was looking down on them just because this was the final farewell. By guang* shrugged off the tardiness, demanding the mission details. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted as a thug stepped forward, dragging a heavy chain, announcing that Bodhisattva sent his regards. The chain lashed out like a viper, but by guang* was faster. He deflected the strike and neutralized the attacker with a brutal elbow to the chest. As the assassin crumpled, the protagonist snatched the chain from the air, whipping it around for the next phase of battle. He demanded to know the meaning of this treason. Dan Feng*, replied with zero emotion that it was simply business, leaving by guang* to repeat the word in disbelief. His former ally sneered. This wasn't a mission. It was a funeral ceremony for the legend known as by guang*. An assassin lunged with a blade, but by guang ensnared him with the chain, crushing his momentum. He landed a precise strike before turning to face a brute wielding a heavy weapon. The brute swung for his shoulder, intending to shatter bone. By guang didn't even blink, freezing his opponent with a gaze cold enough to stop hellfire. A swift kick sent the giant crashing down. By guang spun, dodging another lethal strike with supernatural grace. The chain danced, immobilizing the next attacker instantly. Dan Feng watched the carnage with dead eyes as by guang called a thug up by his collar. By guang roared, asking if this pitiful trap was their best attempt to kill him. The blonde traitor sighed, reaching into his coat, muttering that things were getting complicated. He preferred to keep his distance. He drew a handgun, the cold steel gleaming in the dim light. He stated clearly, this was a direct order from Bodhisattva*. He mocked by guang*, telling him to accept his fate since cleaning blood off a gun was such a hassle. By guang*, felt the sting of betrayal. This was supposed to be his ticket to freedom, his final job before retirement. He demanded a reason. Dan Feng*, leveled the gun at his heart, replying that he could ask the devil in hell goodbye. Roaring with fury, the protagonist lunged straight into the barrel of the gun. The confrontation ended in a flash of violence. Meanwhile, in a smoke-filled temple, the mastermind Bodhisattva* prayed before a shrine. His phone shattered the silence. He answered, asking if the deed was done. A voice replied, "Yes, it is finished." Bodhisattva* pulled the phone away, a frown creasing his brow. Back at the port, by guang* stood over the broken body of Dan Feng*. On the other end of the line, Bodhisattva* froze, realizing the voice didn't belong to his subordinate, but to the legend himself. The voice on the phone is chilling. He claims he is preparing the 49th day death ceremony and asks how Guang knew it was his own funeral. Guang simply asks if he is at the temple. The boss sneers, asking where else a monk would be, but he taunts him, asking if Guang truly believes he can reach him through the army of agents guarding the temple gates. The legendary agent offers a cold warning. He tells the old man to just leave the door open. He is already there. Guang stands before the sanctuary, a loaded gun in his hand and fury in his heart. He drops the phone, the screen cracking against the ground. If they won't clear a path, he will carve one through them. It is time they spoke face to face. An agent blocks his path, claiming Bodhisattva is in the middle of a sacred ritual. But Guang steps forward, his killing aura exploding. He spits out the truth, that man abducted children, turned them into mindless weapons, and profited from the blood of innocents. The agent freezes, the weight of the truth hitting him. Then duty takes over. He grips his weapon and raises it to his shoulder. But Guang is faster. With a precise, devastating blow, he neutralizes the guard. He stares down at him, remembering how he too was raised as a tool since childhood. That monster had stolen everything from him. His body, his future, his humanity, and now even the only family he had left. Another agent raises a gun, but Guang roars with the rage of a beast. Now they even want to take away his right to survive. Guang screams at the temple doors. He was promised his freedom. He was told that once the final mission was complete, he would get his life back. Bodhisattva steps forward, his voice dripping with false pity. He confirms the promise. He will give him a normal life, because in death, everyone's fate is the same. That is the only peace a weapon can know. The boss raises his hand, signaling the firing squad. Guang pleads for mercy, tears mixing with the rain. But inwardly, a demon awakens. He swears he will find a way to return, even if it takes an eternity. He will have his revenge. Darkness consumes him, but then eyes snap open. Voices are shouting at him to wake up. He is surrounded by police officers. A woman asks frantically what is happening. Her colleague stammers that the patient might have memory loss. The woman yells at Kim Kyung-soo to snap out of it, but the protagonist just stares, asking who that is. She looks at him like he is crazy. It is him. The colleague quickly shoves an ID card and a mirror into his hands. He is at the Ilsean police station, The protagonist reads the name on the ID. Police Officer Kim Kyung-soo. The legendary agent Baek Gwang is gone. He grips the mirror, trembling. He asks what kind of joke this is. He had been executed, yet he has awakened in the body of a police officer. After being betrayed and slaughtered by the organization, he should be plotting his bloody comeback. Instead, he is sitting here getting scolded. A superior officer screams at Kim Kyung-soo. The protagonist wonders how he ended up in this pathetic situation while his female colleague keeps her head down in shame. Baek Gwang stares into the mirror, analyzing his new host. This guy, Kim Kyung-soo, had tried to give up on everything. The female officer confirms it, her voice trembling. She asks how he could try to do that to himself. Her partner sighs, saying he was lucky to be found in time. He had been unconscious for an entire week after the attempt. The woman leans in, her voice stern. She tells the rookie to listen well. Writing the names of his bullies in a suicide note would never solve his problems. Kyung-soo asks what she means. She reveals the grim truth. In his note, he had written the names of the superiors who tormented him, questioning their corrupt methods. Suddenly, a loud voice booms from the hallway. Wang Chilman enters, complaining about how complicated this year's rookies are. He sneers, bringing up the past. He mentions that the protagonist's parents died after committing a crime. He mocks him, asking if he is trying to follow in their footsteps. His lackey, Yang, laughs, remarking that the son of a criminal became a cop. If he wants to die, he should do it quietly. He snarls that the rookie should never have written their names in that note. Chillman raises his hand, preparing to slap him across the face. A loud crack echoes through the room. Chillman stands stunned. The protagonist has caught his arm in midair. The superior stammers, asking if he has lost his mind. Chillman demands to know how he dares to resist. He barks at Jo Kyung-hee, but the female officer flinches, startled. Chillman shouts, asking if this is a mutiny. Kyung-hee stammers that she cannot see anything from her angle, refusing to intervene. Yang crouches down, sneering that he will help the rookie up, grabbing him aggressively. But the man who is now Baek Gwang glares at them. The legendary agent turns his cold gaze on them. He mutters that this place is a total mess too. Chillman asks what he said, but the protagonist just tightens his grip on the superior's arm. The bully starts to squirm in pain. Yang shouts, asking what is going on. Chillman screams at him to let go, but the protagonist moves with lightning speed. With a swift strike, he sweeps the superior's legs. Chillman crashes to the floor, and Yang stares, wide-eyed with shock. The protagonist does not hesitate. He prepares for the next move, incapacitating the corrupt officer with a decisive, expert blow. The man drops to the ground, completely neutralized. The station falls silent. Yang yells in panic that he is rebelling against a superior officer. Later, in a private office, Superintendent Choi Ji-na glares at the protagonist. She tells him to leave. She asks who has ever heard of cops fighting each other, especially a rookie assaulting a superior. She mocks him, asking if he thought he was untouchable. She warns him that while he cannot be fired easily just for being a cop, she will make sure he never wears that uniform with pride again. She orders him to get out of her office immediately. As dusk settles over the city, the protagonist stands outside, taking off his hat. He reflects on the absurdity of it all. He wonders how the police could possibly be more corrupt than a criminal syndicate. He touches his head, remembering the chaos at the station and the girl's voice calling out for Kim. Kyung-soo, his new life has officially begun. A female officer screamed, asking if he had lost his mind. But the protagonist stood his ground, claiming his violence was nothing more than necessary self-defense. Another colleague chimed in, trembling with fear. Did he forget who their father was? They were dealing with the son of a high-ranking deputy commissioner. That man held a rank equivalent to 5 stars in the police force. They begged him to just go home safely, warning that crossing such a powerful figure would ruin him. Slumping onto the bench, the protagonist scoffed at their cowardice. This corruption was exactly why justice never prevailed. Rotting inside this police station was a complete waste of his talents. That deputy commissioner wore the Taeguk medal. In the military hierarchy, that medal commands the same respect as a general. He was untouchable. If fate was going to reincarnate him, Couldn't it have made him a high-ranking commander? Instead, he was still an exile, cast out from the very organization he once served. A flashback flickered through his mind. A curious child's voice echoed in the darkness, asking a simple question. What is a policeman? Kim Kyung-soo stared at his police cap, lost in memory. He remembered lying in the dirt, a starving orphan. A monk had reached out a hand, offering salvation. He took that hand in fear, never knowing it would turn him into guang, the organization's most legendary enforcer. The monk's voice pierced the memory, calling out to him from the past. But the memory turned into a nightmare. He was staring down the barrel of a gun. He whispered a final prayer to Buddha for mercy. A single gunshot shattered the silence. He jolted back to reality in his cramped room. He muttered the name of this new body, Kim Kyung-soo. His eyes fell on a textbook on his desk, Introduction to Police Science. Fate was cruel. He had been abandoned by his parents, betrayed by the organization, and stripped of his very life. But this new body and his old self shared one tragic trait. They were both outcasts. He wondered if it was time to leave this life behind, too. Meanwhile, in the Gangdu District Police Department, Superintendent General Hong-jun, a man decorated with 2 Taeguk medals, was reviewing data on his tablet. The investigation into Wagik Temple had been forcefully dismissed. Suddenly, a chilling voice drifted from the shadows behind him. It has been a long time. Have you been well? Hong-jun whipped around in shock. Before he could react, the protagonist was there, a pen pressed lethally against his throat. Don't move, we need to have a little chat. The superintendent stammered, demanding his identity. The answer froze his blood. I am guang. The name of a dead man echoed in the office. Once the initial shock settled, Hong-jun scoffed. This was madness. It was impossible. Guang was dead. To claim he had possessed the body of a police officer was a fairy tale. No sane person would believe such a story. The protagonist's eyes narrowed. He wasn't asking for belief. He was delivering a threat. Hong-jun sighed, realizing the gravity of the situation. Kyung-soo stood tall, addressing him as Mr. Hong. I am going to help you reopen the Wagik Temple investigation. The words struck a nerve, instantly seizing the general's full attention. The protagonist's gaze was as cold as ice. Hong-jun demanded the truth once more. Who are you really? The answer remained the same. I am the enforcer, guang. Under the desk, Hong-jun's fingers crept toward his radio. He muttered that they couldn't discuss this here, but a sudden crackle of static betrayed his plan. The protagonist didn't flinch. Mr. Hong, listen carefully. I will not repeat myself. This is not a request for a favor. It is a command. He gestured to the hallway. Every single officer outside lay unconscious on the floor. I told you. I am threatening you. Hong-jun stared in disbelief at the carnage. He asked again, desperate for logic. Who are you? The protagonist smiled grimly. Guang, just like I was 3 years ago. Flashback to that fateful night. The two of them had made a blood pact. Superintendent Hong lay bleeding on the ground, helpless, when the legendary enforcer first introduced himself. Back then, Hong-jun had asked if he was from Wagik Temple. The protagonist had countered, asking if Hong was the man hunting the elusive leader known as Buddha. You are the first cop to get this close to him, the enforcer had said. But Buddha was aware of the pursuit. Buddha had sent a message. He had no interest in insects like Hong. The enforcer raised his blade, ready to strike. The injured cop begged for his life. You want mercy? Guang had asked, slowly peeling off his mask. Then let's make a deal. Mr. Hong, he offered a trade. He would spare the superintendent's life. In exchange, Hong had to promise to put Buddha behind bars within 3 years, even if he had to fabricate the evidence. Hong-jun had been confused. Why would a member of the organization turn against his own leader? Guang's face twisted in disgust. Do you like monks? Because I have a burning hatred for them. Back in the present, Kim Kyung-soo's voice darkened. That was our deal. But you failed. He eyed the 2 Taeguk medals on Hong's uniform. You climbed the ranks, getting promoted while forgetting your vow. Instead of hunting Buddha, you were too busy bootlicking your superiors to secure your own power. A murderous aura flared around the protagonist. If you are useless, I have no choice. I will have to silence you permanently." Terror washed over Hong-jun's face. "Wait," Hong screamed. "I didn't break the promise. I had no choice. I climbed the ranks to get clearance. It is the only way to access top-secret information about the temple." He was desperate to prove his loyalty. He had a plan. He recalled his recent briefing with the top brass. He had presented all the intelligence he gathered on the organized crime syndicate. He had exposed the truth. The head of the enforcers was none other than the monk Iowa, the man they called Buddha. Hong-jun had displayed the monk's face on the main screen, confirming the target. But the superiors had erupted in laughter. "General Hong, have you been reading comic books? Wagat Temple is a national heritage site." Hong tried to argue his squad's findings, but he was silenced. A high-ranking official, bearing 5 Taeguk medals, leaned in with a sinister smile. "Be careful, General Hong," the official whispered. "Keep digging, and you might face divine retribution." The threat was clear. The corruption went all the way to the top. The protagonist didn't mince words. He warned them to keep their religious fanaticism to themselves and stay out of his way. Kyung-soo cut to the chase. Someone high up had blocked his investigation. Hong-jun confirmed his suspicions with a heavy sigh, sliding a thick envelope across the table. This was the fruit of his squad's blood, sweat, and tears. The protagonist snatched the documents. His eyes darted across the pages, absorbing every detail in seconds. A cold realization hit him. The investigation hadn't been blocked just because of corruption. It was blocked because his evidence was too weak to force their hand. Still, the intel wasn't useless. He would let Hong-jun live, for now. Hong-jun exhaled, but Kyung-soo's eyes narrowed instantly. "Why do you look so relieved?" "I said for now." The threat hung in the air, sending a fresh wave of panic through the older man. Kyung-soo leaned in, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. From this moment on, Hong-jun wasn't just a bystander. He was going to be the shield that kept the protagonist from being silenced permanently. Suddenly, Kyung-soo snapped a perfect, mock salute. "I look forward to working with you, Superintendent Hong." The sudden shift from predator to subordinate left Hong-jun completely stunned. Dawn broke over the city. Birds chirped innocently outside the Ilsan police station, oblivious to the storm brewing inside. Inside, Ya Young and her team were buried in paperwork when bang. The door slammed open, nearly tearing off its hinges. Before they could react, Kyung-soo strolled in with a bright, "Good morning, everyone." Ya Young blinked in disbelief. "Weren't you fired?" Before he could answer, the office door flew open. Chief Choi stormed out, his face twisted in annoyance at the noise. But the moment Choi saw who it was, he froze. Kim Kyung-soo. The name left his lips like a curse. Choi marched forward, veins bulging. "I told you to never show your face here again. My superiors are away, so get lost before I..." His tirade died in his throat. A towering figure emerged from the shadows behind Kyung-soo. Choi's face drained of color. His arrogance evaporated instantly as he recognized the man. "As Superintendent General." He stammered, barely able to speak. The entire squad snapped to attention, saluting in unison. Trembling, Choi managed to squeeze out a question. "Sir, what brings you to our humble station?" Hong-jun smiled, though his eyes remained sharp. "I just came to see where my dear Kyung-soo works." Choi's jaw dropped. He looked between the general and the outcast officer, utterly baffled. "You know each other?" "Officer Kim is my savior," Hong-jun announced, his voice booming through the silent precinct. "From now on, I expect you all to take very good care of him." Outside, Kyung-soo smirked at his new ally. "Life really is a breeze when you have a high rank, isn't it?" Hong-jun wiped sweat from his brow. "Is that all you needed? Are we done?" Kyung-soo's grin faded into a serious expression. "Not quite. I have one more favor to ask." Night descended upon the Hagik Temple. Inside, the head monk, Yuhua, knelt in deep prayer, striking wooden spheres rhythmically before an ancient, ominous painting. Suddenly, the rhythm stopped. Yuhua sensed a shift in the air. "Who's there?" A voice drifted from the shadows, a masked figure known as Guang. "Just a poor, wandering soul," he rasped, burdened by a heavy grudge. The monk's eyes widened. The protagonist stepped fully into the dim light, his presence radiating danger. "People call me a ghost." Without hesitation, Yuhua snatched a handful of burning incense sticks and hurled them like daggers, but Baekwang didn't flinch. He simply tilted his head, letting the deadly projectile sail harmlessly past his mask. "Careful now," Baekwang mocked, plucking a smoldering stick embedded in the wall behind him. A monk shouldn't damage the sanctity of his own temple, should he? Yuhua glared at the intruder. "Who are you to hide behind such a mask?" The protagonist's voice remained calm and cold. "I told you, just a ghost." Yuhua scoffed and snapped his fingers. Instantly, armed subordinates emerged from the darkness, surrounding the intruder. "If you're a ghost," the monk sneered, "then allow me to help you cross over to the afterlife." The thugs tightened the circle, weapons drawn, while the monk stood back, watching with confident arrogance. Baekwang moved like a blur. He closed the distance in a heartbeat, neutralizing the first attacker before he could blink. As the man's weapon fell, the protagonist snatched it out of midair. The others roared and charged. A massive thug swung a heavy axe, aiming to split his skull. But Baekwang was faster than sight. With a fluid strike, he incapacitated the axe wielder and pivoted to the next target. Bodies hit the floor with heavy thuds, one after another. The remaining guards hesitated, fear creeping into their eyes. Yuhua watched in stunned silence as his elite force was dismantled. The protagonist turned his gaze to the monk, his stare piercing through the mask. Realizing his minions were useless, Yuhua stepped forward, his aura flaring. "That's enough," he bellowed, his voice shaking the temple walls. Baekwang paused, analyzing the room. Perfect, he thought. The interference from the orchids is jamming the signals. The cameras are blind. Things just got complicated, Baekwang taunted, glancing at the groaning men on the floor. "Looks like there are more souls here in need of salvation than I thought. I better send them on their way quickly," he added, raising his weapon. "Before they end up as wandering ghosts like me." Yuhua shoved his useless subordinates aside. "Get back," he ordered. He didn't know who sent this masked lunatic, but the killing intent radiating from him was palpable. The monk assumed a combat stance, beckoning the protagonist with a curled finger. "Come here, boy. Let me peel that mask off your face and see what you're hiding." "No need for that," Baekwang replied effortlessly. "I only dropped by to say hello. You'll find out who I am soon enough. Just be patient." I still need to train this body more, he thought, gauging the monk's speed. Yuhua lunged, his hand darting out like a viper to snatch the mask. Boom! A cloud of thick white smoke exploded between them. Smoke bomb. The guards coughed, shielding their eyes. "Master, are you all right?" Yuhua stood amidst the haze, clutching the mask he had managed to rip away. He stared at the open door where the intruder had vanished into the night. With a snarl, Yuhua crushed the mask in his grip until it shattered into pieces. He turned back to the altar, his eyes cold. "A ghost," he muttered. "If that's the game he wants to play, so be it." The next morning, sunlight flooded the park, but Superintendent Hong looked like a walking corpse. Dark circles hung heavy under his eyes. "You look like you aged 10 years overnight," Kyung-soo commented, sipping his coffee. Hong-jun glared at him. "And whose fault is that?" "Between cleaning up the mess at the station and procuring that illegal smoke bomb, I didn't sleep a wink." He had been working like a dog while the protagonist played vigilante. But little did he know, the real work was only just beginning. Kyung-soo grumbles that he has to work overtime to clean up this mess. He insists none of this would be necessary if they had simply arrested that monk immediately. Hong-jun shoots back that procedure matters. Collecting evidence and coordinating with prosecutors comes first. Kyung-soo just sighs, asking why locking up the bad guys has to be so damn complicated. The superintendent narrows his eyes. He warns that anyone who resorts to reckless methods will never truly understand the weight of justice. Kyung-soo defends himself instantly. He claims he didn't cross the line, but only acted against those who posed a lethal threat. After all, he is living proof that his methods work. Hong-jun snaps at him to pay attention and listen. He declares that no individual has the right to enforce justice on their own, no matter how much the target deserves it. Everyone must be judged by the laws of the society they built. Kyung-soo challenges him, asking if that man was ever truly judged or sentenced by these so-called laws. Hong-jun stands firm, even if they catch 10 criminals. They must operate on the presumption of innocence until guilt is proven beyond a doubt. They need solid, undeniable proof to make the arrest stick. Kyung-soo groans, fed up with the bureaucracy, and mutters that maybe he should just form his own squad. Hong-jun explodes, yelling that a rookie officer with 0 field experience can't just go rogue, no matter how strong he thinks he is. In the police force, hierarchy is absolute. Rank means everything. Kyung-soo asks exactly how high he needs to climb to get that authority. Hong-jun replies that he needs at least 1 mugunghwa flower on his shoulder. The protagonist's eyes light up with determination. If that is the case, he will just have to climb the ladder and grab that promotion in record time. Hong-jun warns the young hotshot not to cause trouble and to wait his turn. But as he turns to offer help, he realizes Kyung-soo has already vanished into thin air. Back at the Ilsan police station, Jang Yi finds herself answering the same question. How does one get promoted? She explains that he needs to take a promotional exam. A colleague walks by, asking Kyung-soo to handle a civil complaint for him. Jang Yi looks at him suspiciously, asking if his memory is still scrambled since this is common knowledge. Kyung-soo ignores the jab and asks when the exam takes place. She drops the bad news. He needs at least 1 full year of field experience before he can even apply. Suddenly, an agitated woman screams about the terrible service. Kyung-soo quickly resolves the situation with a few words, then immediately turns back to ask if there isn't a faster way up. Jang Yi asks why he is so obsessed with getting a mugunghwa insignia so quickly. Kyung-soo bluntly states he just wants the rank. She scoffs, telling him to keep dreaming. For a rookie starting at the very bottom, climbing that hierarchy takes at least 10 years. Kyung-soo asks if that timeline applies even with the superintendent general backing him. Jang Yi admits she is jealous of his connections, but the rules are the rules. However, there is technically one loophole. The protagonist leans in, asking for the details. She reveals the only other path, a special promotion. If an officer apprehends a major criminal or solves a high-profile case, their performance score skyrockets, granting them an instant rank increase. Usually, rookies lack the experience for such dangerous work, so they are stuck handling civil complaints and doing as they are told. She says eventually he will get his chance, but when she looks up, Kyung-soo has already bolted, leaving her wondering where he ran off to this time. The scene shifts to the neon-lit streets of another district. Kyung-soo smirks, realizing this is the perfect hunting ground. Why should a cop need to be good at studying books? His true calling is simple: catch the lawbreakers and drag them to justice. He adjusts his hat, eyes gleaming with intent. He is going to work harder than anyone else to secure that special promotion. Statistics say 1 in every 3 Koreans has a criminal record. Sure, most are simple misdemeanors or petty offenses, but that ratio is staggeringly high. And among the sea of petty thieves, Kyung-soo is looking for a big fish, a crime far from insignificant. He prowls the streets, searching for a serious felony that will serve as his ticket up the ranks. This is the kind of filth he wouldn't have hesitated to crush in his previous life. Suddenly, he spots a man handing a suspicious card to a woman. He grins. He found it. Finally, a crime on his level involving illegal distribution. Inside a booming nightclub, the DJ suddenly cuts the music. The crowd groans, asking why the beat stopped. The DJ grabs the mic, shouting that the energy is too low, and he wants to see the dance floor absolutely explode. A woman in the crowd screams for a drink. She yells that if he brings the goods, they will have way more fun. The DJ flashes a wicked smile, asking if that is what the ladies really want. He announces that since everyone looks tired, he has something special to liven up the night. He tells them to get ready as he tosses packets into the air. He roars that they are going to party like there is no tomorrow. But a voice cuts through the noise. Kyung-soo interrupts, declaring that the party is over and the only place they will be waking up is a jail cell. The DJ sneers, asking if the guy is mad because he doesn't fit in. He mocks Kyung-soo, telling him to grab a goodie and loosen up. But the protagonist coldly refuses. Kyung-soo announces that those goodies are illegal narcotics. The revelation sends a shockwave through the crowd. Whispers erupt as people realize they are illegal drugs. The DJ plays dumb, asking what nonsense this guy is spouting and demanding to know who he thinks he is. With a dramatic flair, Kyung-soo whips off his jacket. The strobe lights reflect off his badge as the crowd gasps, recognizing the police uniform underneath. The DJ screams, demanding to know how a cop breached their perimeter and where his bouncers are. His personal guard shakes his head, trembling in confusion and fear. Smash! A glass bottle shatters against the wall, inches from the DJ's face. The protagonist steps into the light, eyes cold, and suggests they finish this little chat behind bars. Terror seizes the DJ instantly. He bolts, screaming for everyone to run for their lives. Bursting into the back room, he warns his crew that the police raid is already upon them. "Grab the stash, we leave now," he roars. His assistant looks up in panic, asking what is happening, but there is no time to explain. Suddenly, a thug's body flies into the room, crashing down hard. The protagonist enters like a storm, neutralizing the assistant with a single, fluid strike before moving deeper into the lair. Desperate to escape, a security guard frantically rattles the doorknob. It refuses to budge. "Open it, you idiot," the DJ screams. But the guard turns back, face pale, revealing the door is locked from the outside, and their backup has already been decimated. Kyung-soo strides in, his presence dominating the room. "You really want to mess with me?" The DJ freezes, hesitating as he realizes the officer is standing there completely alone. "Is there a problem?" Kyung-soo asks calmly. The criminal blinks, confused. Why was he so terrified of a single cop? He thought he was surrounded by a SWAT team. Regaining his confidence, the DJ shouts a command to his men. "Get him. Kill him now." Kyung-soo notices a shift in the air. The thugs pull red stickers from their pockets, slapping them onto their necks. A dark, unnatural energy begins to radiate from them. Agony rips through the guards as they scream, their muscles swelling. Kyung-soo feigns shock. "Oh my." The DJ grins, thinking he has won, but the protagonist lunges, faster than sight, and drops the first guard instantly. The massive man hits the floor with a heavy thud. The young detective whispers coldly, "Keep it down. You are making too much noise." As the guard groans in pain on the floor, Kyung-soo dusts off his hands. This little spar is already coming to an end. Watching his chemically enhanced men fall like flies, the DJ collapses in sheer terror. This is no ordinary cop, he is a monster. He crawls backward, desperate. "Wait. Let's talk, officer. I can get you anything. You want money? Power? Just name your price." The protagonist tilts his head, eyes gleaming with amusement. "Anything. Are you serious about that?" "Yes, valuables, cash," the DJ begs. Kyung-soo interrupts him, fist clenching. "It is a special promotion, and I just want this." His fist flies toward the man's face. Cut to a news broadcast. A reporter announces a massive bust at a club in Ilsan. An entire gang was wiped out and arrested in a single night. The report highlights the growing plague of controlled substances infecting South Korea. The public anxiety is reaching a breaking point. Back at the station, Jin-ah sighs, tossing a file on the desk. "Congratulations on a job well done, Senior Officer Kyung-soo." Her tone drips with sarcasm. "Just doing my duty," the young man shrugs. Jin-ah snaps. What kind of rookie abandons his assigned post to go Rambo? "Your arrest methods are a disaster." Unbothered by the scolding, the protagonist places a plastic bag on the table. "Take a look at this." Inside sits a single leaf. It was hidden in the club's safe. He explains. Jin-ah stares. "You took evidence from the crime scene." Kyung-soo nods. "It is a paulownia leaf." Her eyes widen as the realization hits. This leaf is the key connection to the red stickers. The puzzle pieces are finally clicking into place. Meanwhile, in a shadowy location, a man wearing a phoenix mask inspects a similar sticker. Nearby, a subordinate is restrained, screaming as he is forced to apply the drug. A woman watches from the darkness, trembling. The masked leader speaks, voice distorted. "He was the one in charge of Ilsan, and he failed. What are you waiting for?" The boss commands. His minions pin the failure down. The man begs for mercy, but a second sticker is slapped directly onto his chest. Convulsions rack his body, and then silence. He collapses to the floor, motionless. A discardable pawn, spent and broken. Brother Bang was defeated. Brother Oakleaf has been punished. The Phoenix Muses. The woman realizes that to avoid punishment, she must eliminate this troublesome cop immediately. Back at the precinct, Kyung-soo analyzes the evidence. November's Phoenix Polonia. The signature of the syndicate involved with the substances. Asterisk this body. Asterisk the protagonist thinks, flexing his hand. Asterisk the one thing I have felt since entering this stranger's vessel is that it is surprisingly well-trained. Asterisk. Asterisk muscular strength, endurance, agility, and flexibility. The balance is impeccable. Asterisk. Asterisk even so, against the Waguk group and their high-ranking executives. This level of power is not enough. Asterisk. He wiggles his fingers and lies back on the floor, sighing deeply. Asterisk this vessel is not quite there yet. I need more time to cultivate its true potential. Asterisk. Senior Officer Kyung-soo, his meditation is interrupted. His colleagues hover nearby. The protagonist opens one eye. What is it? Outside the office, he summarizes their request. So, you are saying you want to be promoted too? The three rookies nod with eager smiles. Why come to me? Kyung-soo asks. Kang-hee chirps up. Because you have the support of the Superintendent General. No, idiot. Her partner nudges her. It is because he was recently promoted himself. We are here for you. If you need help, just ask, and we will work hard. The protagonist stares at them blankly. And why would I need your help? Did you already forget? Kang-hee pouts. We were so nice to you. Kyung-soo deadpans. I have short-term amnesia. We were chosen by the superiors to visit you in the hospital. She insists. We checked on you. That counts as being nice. We are colleagues. That word asterisk colleagues asterisk strikes a chord. The protagonist freezes as a memory surfaces. The present fades away. He remembers a day at an ancient temple, rain pouring from the heavens. A voice echoes from the past. Are you Baek Gwang, the judge of life and death? The figure laughs mockingly. You, the best among us, do not make me laugh. Silence hangs heavy around Baek Gwang until a voice cuts through the tension, pleading with Buddha to show Brother Bang some mercy. The interjection only sparks irritation in the leader, who wonders why they don't just cage the trash instead of wasting breath. Back in the present, the word colleagues drips from his lips like poison as he stares down the trio. Come back when you've earned a promotion. He spits. We are not equals. The rank insignia on his shoulder gleams 3 diamonds mocking thereto. The hierarchy is absolute. Ji-young bristles, fury igniting at the disrespect. Let's settle this right now, she snaps. Beside her, Kyung-soo smirks, teasing, careful, are you inciting a rebellion against a superior? What is this commotion? A sharp voice slices through the argument. The 3 spin around, freezing as they come face to face with team leader Jin-ah. Instinct takes over, they snap to attention and salute. Jin-ah eyes them critically. Is your work finished? Ji-young stammers. We were just taking a brief respite, ma'am. Jin-ah sighs, stating she usually has no patience for idle rookies. Her gaze shifts. But for him, I suppose I can make an exception. He is the station's golden goose, after all. Are you in pain? She asks, her tone softening unexpectedly. Don't push yourself too hard. We need you healthy. Ji-young watches in disbelief. Asterisk she's a completely different person. Asterisk she thinks. It's obvious Jin-ah smells a promotion. And it's all thanks to Kyung-soo's recent legendary performance. Still, something feels off. What are those two really planning? Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Young Chan is busy venting his frustrations about the protagonist. Calm down, brother, Cheol-min warns. You'll spike your blood pressure again. But the older man isn't having it. Calm. How can I possibly stay calm? The Superintendent General is protecting him. And now, he lands a special promotion on top of it. The entire station spins around his finger. I won't accept it. Not until I see his so-called skills with my own damn eyes. Their rant is interrupted by a soft voice. Excuse me, officers. A woman approaches, looking lost. Can I ask a favor? I need help finding someone. Young Chen waves her off dismissively. We aren't a help desk. Check a map. But Cheol-min nudges him hard. Brother, look. Both men freeze. A stunning blonde girl steps closer, holding up a dark screen. I'm so sorry, but my battery died. Young Chan's attitude does a 180. My apologies. I was rude. Shil-min whispers urgently, don't lose your composure, you idiot. She tilts her head, pleading, could you help me? The brothers step forward in unison, eager to serve. Where are you headed, miss? I need to get to the Ilsean police station, she replies. Young Chan beams. Destiny calls. That is exactly where we are stationed. We can escort you, Shil-min offers. The girl's smile brightens the street. What a relief. Since you're from Ilsean, you must know Officer Kim Kyung-soo. The name sucks the air out of the conversation. After a pause, they nod. He's an acquaintance. Our subordinate, actually. Why are you looking for him? Her expression remains innocent. He has something that belongs to me, and if I don't get it back, she adds, my father will be very, very upset. Shil-min whispers, girlfriend. Young Chan scoffs, no way, he would have bragged. The blonde reaches into her bag. As a thank you, she chirps, pulling out some treats. Please, have these cookies while we walk. Back at headquarters, Hyung-jun scans a heavy file. The subject, the November Phoenix Polonia. According to Baekwang's intel, she controls the Waga clan's finances. But her methods are twisted. She enforces loyalty through controlled substances, each escalating in potency. On the street, they call these drugs Buddha's tears. One critical detail stands out. She is terrified of punishment. And in the underworld, her infamy is legendary. Kyung-soo is grabbing coffee with colleagues when the station doors slide open. The blonde girl strolls in, casually munching on a cookie. Meanwhile, on the pavement outside, the two brothers lie unconscious. She finishes her snack without a care in the world. Coming to a halt directly in front of the stunned officers, Kyung-soo and Hyung-jun exchange glances. This woman reeks of the Waga clan's madness. She locks eyes with the protagonist, smiling darkly. I finally found you, Mr. Officer. Her gaze is heavy, obsessive. Ji-young steps in, confused. Excuse me, miss, did you lose an item? I'm missing my Polonia leaves, she hums. The officers look baffled. You know, she clarifies, the Polonia flowers, wrapped in my leaf. Ji-young frowns. Do you have them on you? We can check your bag. No need, the woman interrupts. Her eyes drift back to the target. Because Officer Kyung-soo is the one holding my property. What is she talking about? A colleague whispers. The protagonist stares back at her, his mind racing. Asterisk hasn't changed a bit. Asterisk, he can't predict her next move. Calling for backup is impossible. The Orchid signal jammer has already killed their comms and the security feeds. Are you ignoring me? Ji-young demands. But the protagonist's mind is pulled into the past. Asterisk, it all started back then. Asterisk. Asterisk flashback. Asterisk, a young Baekwang grips a wooden sword. The girl charges at him like a wild beast, grabbing the blade barehanded to deliver a lethal strike. But Baekwang is faster. He deflects the blow and drives a counter-strike into her abdomen. She gasps, the impact forcing the weapon from her grasp. He levels his sword at her throat. From the shadows, Buddha emerges. Well, Baekwang, do you think any of this trash is useful? The protagonist looks down at the defeated girl, then slowly shakes his head. Just as I thought, Buddha sneers. He snaps his fingers. Instantly, agents flood the room. Neutralize them all. Dispose of the failures. Panic flares in Baekwang's eyes. Wait, he shouts, stepping forward. Give them a chance. With proper training, they could become weapons. The Buddha spoke with chilling detachment, declaring empathy a useless burden he had long discarded. The protagonist could only clench his jaw and avert his gaze, the silent screams of the suffering children echoing in his heart. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block out the reality. Just as a subordinate's voice pierced the air, summoning the master known as Buddha, a young girl slammed her blade into the earth, her voice trembling, but fierce as she vowed to train until her bones broke to prove her worth. The Buddha looked down at her with cold curiosity, questioning if a mere child truly grasped the weight of such a dark path. He decided it would be simpler to discard her now and wait for a better candidate to emerge from. The ashes, panic seized the girl, and she began to beg, pleading desperately with the heartless master. She thrashed against the agent's grip, screaming for mercy, but Kyung-soo turned his back, unable to watch the cruelty unfold. They pinned her down, forcing a vile liquid down her throat to silence her potential forever. Hours passed, and the Buddha ordered the site cleared, assuming the trash had been disposed of. Yet, defying all logic and medical science, the girl's eyes remained open, her consciousness clinging stubbornly to life despite the poison. A spark of surprise flickered in the Buddha's gaze for the first time. Intrigued by her tenacity, he dragged her to a secluded chamber, issuing a lethal ultimatum: survive a month of hellish trials, or perish. It was the only way to prove she was more than a tool to be discarded. Day by agonizing day, she rebuilt herself, forging a monstrous resistance to pain and poison alike. Years of torture molded her into a weapon, and upon her adulthood, the Buddha bestowed upon her a mask. From that day forward, her old self died, and she was reborn as the November Phoenix. She accepted the title with twisted gratitude, vowing eternal servitude. Now, in the present, that same broken psyche stood before Kyung-soo, her voice dripping with instability as she asked if he intended to pretend she didn't exist. The pleasantries vanished instantly. Her eyes narrowed, demanding to know the location of her confiscated belongings. Kyung-soo scanned the crowded station, realizing innocent eyes were everywhere. Thinking fast, he lied through his teeth, claiming the dangerous artifacts were stashed safely at his private residence. He invited her to follow him, plotting to lure this ticking time bomb into a trap where he could neutralize her for good. But the November Phoenix merely stared back, her gaze cold enough to freeze the air between them. As Kyung-soo motioned for her to move, a colleague protested the irregular departure, but the Phoenix cut in with a chilling laugh. She called him a liar to his face, knowing a man of his caution would never store such volatile items in his own sanctuary. The officers froze, stunned by the sudden escalation and the woman's terrifying insight. She mocked his amateur attempt at deception, her hand plunging into her bag to withdraw a stack of mystic seals. Before anyone could blink, she launched them into the air, the paper talismans flying like deadly shuriken. Kyung-soo evaded the attack with a minimal tilt of his head, his reflexes preternatural. But his colleagues weren't so lucky. The cursed papers slapped onto their faces with sickening precision. Dark magic took hold instantly. Their eyes rolled back, and they crumpled to the floor, consciousness stolen by the seal's power. Chaos erupted as the Phoenix called out to her appa with a twisted sweetness, while her hidden subordinates emerged to plaster seals onto every remaining officer in the precinct. She tightened the screws, taunting that his precious comrades faced a grim fate unless treated. Immediately, the ultimatum was clear: hand over her items, or watch the station become a graveyard. Kyung-soo didn't hesitate. He exploded into motion, a blur of raw speed tearing across the room straight for the source of the chaos. With a thunderous impact, he shattered the device in her grasp before she could react. The Phoenix's eyes went wide, realizing too late that she had underestimated his true power. With a ruthless grip, the protagonist crushes the signal jammer into scrap metal. He announces the game is over. Phoenix watches in shock, rage bubbling up as her expensive equipment is reduced to dust. Kyung-soo issues a grim warning: reinforcements are coming. But right now, the cameras are off, the signal is dead. No one is watching. It is the perfect stage for a brutal lesson. He points his baton directly at her, eyes cold. Phoenix scowls, demanding to know what nonsense he is spouting. The protagonist smirks. She will understand soon enough after he knocks some sense into her skull. It is time for a painful reminder of the old days. Her glare is icy, but then she bursts into manic laughter. She mocks him, amused that the stubborn officer thinks he can actually threaten her. First he breaks her toys, and now he talks big. He must be having a rough day to pick a fight he cannot possibly win. Kyung-soo does not hesitate. He swings the baton with lethal speed. Phoenix barely ducks, but she falls right into his trap. A devastating knee strike slams into her. The impact sends her stumbling back. She touches her forehead, her fingers coming away stained with fresh blood. She spits out an insult, calling him a damn annoying cop with a death wish. Kyung-soo just sneers, telling her that her angry face makes her look even uglier. Phoenix admits he has some skill. He is definitely not a normal cop. But the protagonist cuts her off, telling her to drop the tough act. He can see her trembling. She probes for answers, demanding to know if he is from the Special Forces. But the protagonist remains silent, his expression unreadable as stone. Enough games. She grabs the seal on her chest and rips it off. She does not care about his past job. He is a dead man walking. A sinister energy floods the room. Kyung-soo frowns, noting how unpleasant the aura feels as the girl's body reacts to the sudden power surge. A twisted smile creeps onto her face. She is certain of his defeat now. Kyung-soo merely lifts his head. In a heartbeat, she vanishes, rushing him with godlike speed. But he is ready. His baton crashes into her mid-attack. He asks the million-dollar question. Did she really think releasing one seal would be enough? Phoenix hits the ground hard, the wind knocked out of her. Kyung-soo looks down with pity. She still doesn't get it. To beat him, she would need to release at least 10 of those seals. If she wants to survive the storm of blows he is about to unleash, she better hurry. The girl desperately tries to block his barrage of attacks. Her hand snaps out in a blur, a desperate counter. She screams in frustration, asking how he dares to push her this far. Kyung-soo shakes his head in disappointment. She never changes, always relying on cheap items and artifacts, while completely neglecting to train her own body. But given the situation, he should thank her for being so weak. Furious, the girl demands his identity, screaming at him to stop acting like he knows her history. He crouches low, eyes gleaming with a predator's intent. Who knows? He whispers. With one final, thunderous swing of his baton, he silences her. Lights out, the girl collapses to the cold floor, completely defeated. Without a second of mercy, Kyung-soo drives the baton into her, the pressure immense. He hisses that she should recognize his authority now, especially while completely dominated under his power. Phoenix snarled, demanding to know what he was talking about, but the protagonist remained unmoved. Even with her mind clouded by a cocktail of stimulants, he slammed the baton against her, pinning her firmly to the ground. His voice was cold as steel. He warned her that she would realize exactly who he was long before. She accepted her defeat. The girl gritted her teeth, gripping the steel rod and demanding he let her go. Jeong-soo declared her fight was over, but suddenly the baton collapsed on its own, retracting without him lifting a finger. The girl seized the opportunity, gasping for air as the pressure vanished. The protagonist let out a frustrated sigh, glaring at the malfunctioning weapon. He started to complain about the baton's durability, but the girl didn't wait. She interrupted his rant with a vicious blow to his face. Phoenix scrambled back, breathing heavily as the adrenaline spiked. Jeong-soo wiped his lip, commenting that the quality of this equipment was absolute trash. It was pathetic that they issued such cheap toys to low-ranking police officers. No wonder the force fought so terribly with gear like this. Suddenly, the woman launched herself at Jeong-soo once more, a desperate lunge for survival. The protagonist blocked the strike effortlessly, but something caught his eye in the gap between his arms. He wondered what that strange seal was, a mark etched on the girl's body that he had never seen before. It turned her eye a sinister reddish hue. He wondered if it was a new artifact until he looked down. His own hand was showing a terrifying reaction. This did not look good. He realized he had been affected just by simple contact with her clothing. The poison was potent, but even so, she didn't seem to be faring any better than him. She stared at him, bewildered, asking who he really was. She demanded to know why he wore the same expression as Guang. Before he could answer, a subordinate called out to Madame Phoenix, sounding the alarm. Mr. Orchid had made contact. Police reinforcements were closing in fast. Their window for escape was vanishing. Jeong-soo told them to get out of there. He would let her go for today since fate would surely bring them together again soon. Besides, there was no way the regular police could catch her now. Phoenix turned, deactivating the seal's power, and ordered her team to gather everyone. It was time to retreat. Her subordinate asked if she was okay, but the woman just muttered to herself, wondering why that cop reminded her so much of Guang. Moments later, the sirens of patrol cars and ambulances filled the air. Hong-jun approached, asking if Jeong-soo had lost them. In response, the protagonist tossed the broken baton in his direction with a scowl, questioning how a standard tissue baton could collapse just from pressure. Hong-jun complained that the gear wasn't bad, they just shouldn't be used with such monstrous force. The protagonist held up his hands, his face grim. He couldn't feel them at all. Hong-jun called for the medics immediately. The protagonist thought to himself that this was an unexpected turn of events. He was lucky Phoenix had gotten scared and ran. He wondered if this paralysis happened simply because of contact through her clothing. Did they increase the original potency, or was this an entirely new chemical compound? While the doctor asked what substance it was, Jeong-soo thought that Phoenix had become a walking biohazard. He hoped he would recover, but it seemed things were about to get hectic. He told Hong-jun he had a favor to ask the superintendent general. Hong-jun sighed, questioning what it could possibly be this time. Back at his house later that night, the protagonist approached his door and swung it open. But Phoenix's subordinates were waiting in the darkness. A smoke grenade rolled across the floor. They smirked, commenting that they had him trapped. It was a special compound designed to cause confusion and eventual unconsciousness. He had nowhere to run. Miss Phoenix said she had used a high dosage, so the effects would be intense. He would likely suffer severe consequences, but the assassins froze. The protagonist was standing there wearing a gas mask. He thought to himself that he had borrowed some gear, not the expensive kind. But he wanted the good stuff. He told them he already knew they were coming. That scared girl was so frightened she didn't even dare to show up herself. But whatever, this was the perfect chance to test how expensive this new gear really was. The protagonist pointed his weapon, and the men flinched in surprise. They wondered how a cop got his hands on this equipment. Their colleague yelled not to be afraid, insisting the gun must be unloaded. But the protagonist fired, neutralizing the first man instantly. He continued to systematically immobilize the other two until the magazine clicked empty. With both of them groaning on the floor, he approached slowly, like a predator inspecting its prey. Analyzing the immobilized men, he commented that this gun was indeed very good. Outside, police sirens arrived at the building, and residents peeked out, asking what happened while an officer ordered them back inside. The residents had heard loud noises, or perhaps it had been their imagination. The scene was chaotic. Hong-jun looked at the carnage and remarked that even though they were rubber bullets, Jeong-soo had definitely overdone it. He wondered if the men were even breathing. But Jeong-soo said he gave them exactly what they deserved. They might wake up during transport, so he warned Hong-jun to ensure someone removed the suicide capsules they were carrying. Hong-jun shook his head, commenting that he really was guang. There was no doubt left. Jeong-soo asked if he had really been in doubt until now. Even after lending him all this specialized equipment, the superintendent said he couldn't be blamed. No one in their right mind would believe in reincarnation. But after seeing the substance incident involving Phoenix and the way he handled this ambush, he was about 99% sure that he was guang. The protagonist raised an eyebrow, asking why not 100%. Hong-jun stood up and said the 1% doubt remained because if he were truly guang, it made no sense that he hadn't gone after Manhwa to stop him. Jeong-soo replied that Hong-jun was the one who said solid evidence was important, and now he was doubting because he thought a police officer shouldn't be capable of such violence. Hong-jun clarified that was the correct thinking from a police officer's perspective, but not from guang's perspective. The protagonist responded solemnly that Manhwa was respected and adored by every citizen in the country. Many people considered him an enlightened figure, and to strike him down would require more than just strength. If we take that man down publicly, imagine the chaos, Kyung-soo warned. The whole world would flip upside down. Merely stopping him fixes nothing. The darkness of the underworld stretches far deeper than you can even fathom. Hong-jun stammered, "Are there other organizations besides Hookah?" But Kyung-soo cut him off cold. "I don't give a damn about the rest. My only goal is that monk's total destruction. I will make sure no soul is ever forced to endure the living hell I survived." Silence hung heavy in the room for a few seconds. Finally, Hong-jun nodded. "Fine. We work together to put that monster behind bars." Kyung-soo smirked at the superintendent general. "You seem to forget who is saving who here. Remember my last display of power? If you don't want it to be crushed, you better listen." Hong-jun swallowed his pride. "I have been following your lead perfectly." Kyung-soo's expression darkened. And one last thing. It's not that I didn't try to stop the monk before. It's that I couldn't. After all, he was the master who taught me every single thing I know. A ruthless enforcer seized Phoenix, his grip like iron. The girl flinched in terror at his touch. She pleaded for mercy, invoking Lord Buddha's name. But the monk just stared down at her, his eyes burning with cold fury. He shoved her brutally to the floor. Did those drugs rot your brain? You lost your assets and dared to raid a police station? Sobs racked her body as she begged. Lord Buddha's voice cut through the air. Phoenix, it seems you require a painful lesson. She tried to crawl away, desperate as a cornered rat. Please, Lord Buddha, I was wrong. I won't make the same mistake twice. Suddenly, mocking laughter echoed from the hallway. Look at her, bawling like a newborn baby. She has truly hit rock bottom. Keep crying and you'll lose your muscle mass. Lose any more strength and you will simply vanish from existence. Phoenix looked up from the floor, spotting the Lepeta brothers. Why are you here? A sharp female voice retorted. What kind of stupid question is that? The woman snapped her fan open with a flourish. Don't you think we came because Lord Buddha summoned us? Cherry Blossom, Phoenix whispered in shock. The brothers sneered. Even she had to come witness this. The girl turned back to her master. The monk smiled cruelly. Now, the entire family is gathered. The trial regarding the disposal of November's Phoenix begins now. A heavy silence fell as the executives locked eyes. Phoenix screamed, clawing at the floor. I will fix this. I will get back everything I lost. Please, forgive me. No need, the monk replied dismissively. He revealed a box of rolled leaves. I have already recovered what was yours. The girl gasped in disbelief. Buddha turned to his other generals. April's Black Lepeta, July's Lepeta, and March's Cherry Blossom. Speak your minds. July spoke first. And her, April nodded in disgust. Relying on substances for power? That is the lowest form of perversion. March turned her gaze to the trembling girl. Over the years, Phoenix, we grew quite close, didn't we? But I must be honest, she sighed. The world of professionals is a cruel one. The monk nodded. The votes are cast. Phoenix wept in pure terror, calling out to Buddha. How can you be so cruel? He had planned to eliminate her from the very start. July scoffed at her tears. Stop your pathetic whining. You brought them here just to mock me. Phoenix shrieked. These people hold a grudge against me. March feigned innocence. Oh, I am hurt. The monk said nothing as Phoenix scrambled toward him. Then, she saw it. March was handing a loaded gun to Lord Buddha. He gripped the weapon coldly. I have no use for someone who cannot help me. As she cried, he aimed. May the merciful Buddha save your soul. His finger tightened on the trigger. Suddenly, Phoenix slammed her head to the floor. Wait, I have created a new compound. It is 5 times more potent than anything before. A formula I developed myself. Inspections will never detect it. April groaned. Substances again. But the monk lowered the gun. How much did you make? 10 kilograms, she gasped. Greed flickered in the monk's eyes. And the distribution network? I have connected every route, she cried. The underground of Korea, Japan, China, and all of Southeast Asia. Give me half a year. That is all I need to become your most useful daughter again. The monk's eyes narrowed. 3 months, you cost me a fortune, so prove your worth. A twisted smile cracked across the girl's face. Agreed. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Jeonji was babbling complete nonsense, lost in a daze. Kyung-soo frowned. What is wrong with her? A colleague sighed. Withdrawal symptoms. Her body is rejecting the substance. The girl muttered something incomprehensible. The translator grimaced. She is asking you to wipe her mouth, sir. The detective laughed. Surprised you actually came to check on us. Kyung-soo rolled his eyes. You guys never shut up about visiting me when I was down. I am here now. Consider the debt paid. We are even. Did you hear? He got a special promotion again, a colleague whispered. Kyung-soo feigned ignorance. News to me. If you're jealous, work harder. With that, he turned to leave. The other officers whisper in the shadows, deeply shaken. Kyung-soo has changed. His aura is different now. It leaves them wondering what they have been doing with their own pathetic lives. Later, inside the precinct, Hong-jun drops a bombshell. There's a rat hiding within the police organization. Kyung-soo's eyes widen in surprise. The superintendent explains. He tried to test the substances Kyung-soo brought in. He sent them straight to the forensic lab. But the evidence vanished into thin air. Someone intercepted it. He asks if Kyung-soo has a lead. Kyung-soo shakes his head cold. He knows nothing of their corrupt internal politics. That evidence was his ace in the hole. He vows to reclaim it the moment he crushes the one responsible. Hong-jun will purge the internal rot himself. Kyung-soo must hunt down the target's underlings fast. Hong-jun adds a dark detail: they are already squeezing them for answers. Kyung-soo cuts to the chase. When does the special task force for the Vaguka case deploy? Hong-jun's face hardens. The truth is grim. That team is already gone, buried 6 feet under at the cemetery. Not a single soul is left. Silence stretches, thick with tension. Kyung-soo scoffs at the deception. Hong-jun doesn't flinch. He couldn't trust anyone back then. The protagonist warns him not to move, or he will put him in cuffs. The superintendent raises a hand. Wait. Kyung-soo counters. Why not just build a new squad from scratch? It is not that simple. To lead a unit, one needs at least one small Magungwa rank insignia. Hong-jun nods in confirmation. He points to his own badge to Magungwa. He has the authority to authorize it. But Kyung-soo instantly rejects the offer. He hunts alone. Hong-jun reminds him of their deal regarding a team. Kyung-soo shuts him down cold. That was not what he meant. The superintendent general drops the friendly act. His hand leaves the protagonist's shoulder. He addresses him by rank, corporal. A stern warning follows. The police force is a massive machine. A lone wolf has limits. A team secures funding, legitimacy, and cover. This is not a suggestion anymore. As a superior officer, he orders Corporal Kyung-soo, assemble a task force. Now, Hong-jun admits his hands are tied. Too many eyes watching him. The political risk is too high for a direct move. Kyung-soo processes the command. He smirks. If the old man had asked politely instead of barking orders, he might have actually considered the request. Hong-jun swallows his pride instantly. Without missing a beat, he politely asks Kyung-soo to assemble his own team. Cut to the hospital. His injured colleagues look at him in disbelief. Is he really building his own squad? A corporal leading a unit. Unheard of. Kyung-soo shrugs. It was a direct order. Yang Yi asks the million-dollar question. Who made the cut? The protagonist stares at them. Who else? There isn't a single soul at the station ranked lower than these 3. Tears well up in his colleague's eyes. He thought his career was over after the injury. He thought he was useless trash. Yang Yi breaks down in gratitude. They swear loyalty on the spot. They had resigned themselves to rotting behind a desk forever. They muse about the beauty of true camaraderie. The protagonist cuts through the sentimentality. They still do not understand their reality. He does not need useful colleagues. He needs pawns. Obedient dogs who will execute every command without question. The realization hits them. So, no friendship, the protagonist confirms. They are his subordinates. Nothing more. Soldiers who must risk everything if he says so. Cowards who must retreat if he orders it. Absolute obedience. If they accept this fate, they must call him chief. Only then are they on the team. Kyung-soo reviews the files Hong-jun handed him. First up, Han Hee-jun, 25 years old, a human weapon. Boxing, kickboxing, taekwondo, he has mastered them all. On paper, a beast. In reality, a meathead. Failed the written exam 4 times. Dead last in academics. Hee-jun scratches his head. Chief, don't you need a Magungwa rank for that? His naivety is almost painful. Next, Lee Se-yeon, also 25, a ground-fighting prodigy. His jiu-jitsu and judo stats are off the charts. The flaw, he is an emotional wreck. On interview day, he was a sobbing mess. Even now, he whines that chief sounds too scary. Yang Yi snaps at him to pull it together. Finally, Kyung-soo looks at the last file. Cho Yang-yi, 25 years old. Combat skills, 0. Physical exam, dead last. A twig could snap her. But she crushed the written exams. Top marks in the interview. A certified genius among brutes. She vows to do whatever the chief wants just to stay on the squad. Cut to the next day. The mountains. The three stand ready in training gear. Kyung-soo begins to loosen up his muscles. Hee-jun starts to address him casually, then panics. He corrects it to Chief instantly. They whine about working on a weekend. The protagonist tells them to start stretching. Right now, they are police, and he is a dangerous criminal. They have 5 minutes to prepare. Then they must attack him all at once. Their goal, subdue him. Hee-jun blinks in confusion. 3 against 1. Are you serious? Se-yeon trembles. Chief, what if we hurt you? The protagonist checks his watch. 4 minutes left. The clock is ticking. The 3 trainees crouch in a desperate huddle, whispering furiously. Ya-young trembles, muttering that this guy has completely lost his mind. Song-han gripes about not using the title chief, and Ya-young argues he can't hear them anyway. But from across the room, Kyung-soo's voice cuts through the air, proving he heard everything, forcing her to scream chief in panic. Terrified, they return to their hushed strategy session, and Hee-jun takes the lead. He asks for orders since they swore to follow the plan. Song-han lays it out. Hee-jun will create a distraction head-on, while he moves in to tackle the target to the ground. Song-han immediately whines, calling the plan suicide and labeling his partner a chicken. Hee-jun asks if a straight charge is enough. Ya-young snaps back, reminding him of his boxing training. He needs to use that fancy footwork to confuse the monster facing them. Kyung-soo rips off his shirt, muscles rippling like carved stone, and asks if they are ready for war. The 3 rookies freeze, stunned into silence by his absolute physical perfection. Kyung-soo announces that time is up. His aura flares as he commands them to attack. Ya-young screams for Hee-jun to move. He steps forward, chanting the mantra like a prayer, confuse the opponent with footwork. He advances, muttering the phrase dozens of times, but his execution is pathetic. It looks more like a clumsy dance than combat. Kyung-soo watches, genuinely confused by the bizarre display. Ya-young yells that he looks foolish and needs to close the distance. Suddenly, reality strikes. Their friend is laid out flat on the concrete with a single, devastating move. Kyung-soo turns his gaze to the remaining 2. He steps closer, his voice low and dangerous, asking if they think this is a game. Ya-young shoves Song-han forward, commanding him to advance. The young man trembles violently, then breaks. He turns and sprints away, screaming that he can't do it. In a blink, Kyung-soo materializes right beside him. He whispers a chilling lesson: never show your back to an enemy, especially a criminal. With surgical precision, he strikes, calling the rookie a fool as he crumples. He leaves the man groaning in the dirt while Ya-young shudders in terror as the monster turns his attention to her. She backs away, hands raised in a plea for mercy. She plays her last card, asking with trembling lips if the chief would really fight a woman. Kyung-soo replies coldly that he doesn't fight women, but he absolutely fights police officers. In one fluid motion, he neutralizes her, slamming her into reality. Ya-young groans in pain from the hit. Kyung-soo stands over them, disgusted by their uselessness, wondering aloud how they expect to catch lethal criminals with such pathetic skills. He barks the orders: rest for 10 minutes. Then they will repeat this hellish training 3 more times today. If they want to survive, they need to stop holding back and come at him with killing intent. He demands a response, and the 3 broken rookies shout their agreement in unison. Later, inside the station, Hong-jun asks how the team building is going. Kyung-soo reports that their performance is garbage, questioning how they even passed the academy. Hong-jun sighs, asking him to have a little mercy on the greenhorns. Kyung-soo counters instantly they aren't hunting purse snatchers. They are hunting monsters like him. Impatient, he shifts topics, asking when the interrogation will end. Noting that they have achieved absolutely nothing after all this time, Hong-jun admits defeat, complaining that the suspects remain stubbornly silent. The officer considers using a more effective interrogation method, but Kyung-soo scoffs. Standard pressure will never break men who deal with the Phoenix Syndicate. Kyung-soo decides it is his fault for trusting a cop's methods and declares he will handle it. Personally, Hong-jun warns him not to cross the legal line. Kyung-soo mocks that attitude, saying it sounds exactly like a country that values the human rights of scum over justice. Hong-jun reminds him firmly that they are still officers of the law. Kyung-soo proposes a deal. As long as he leaves no physical marks, he can do whatever he pleases. The superintendent relents and agrees. A dark grin spreads across Kyung-soo's face. He has a perfect, twisted idea. The lights in the interrogation room dim ominously as the suspects rest at the table. Suddenly, the door creaks open and a shadow enters. One suspect mutters that it's useless. He vows silence, but Guang speaks up, asking about Cho Sang-wook, the massive enforcer in flowery blue clothes, the Phoenix's right hand. He corrects himself. Cho must be the right hand now, since Kim Dong-chul held that title before. The suspect's eyes go wide with shock. Guang casually mentions the woman who always shadows the Phoenix. The other criminal demands to know who the hell this stranger is. The protagonist steps into the light, saying it's been a long time. He introduces himself as Guang. Now, it is time for a serious conversation. The criminal stammers in confusion, insisting that Hwang Guang is dead. His partner whispers that this man looks exactly like the legend. Guang smirks, noting they must know him, pointing to the distinctive scar left by a high heel, a mark of his past. He recounts the story, confronted by the Phoenix for transporting illegal goods. The partner asks if it's true, and the other man realizes with horror that Mr. Guang is alive. While they reel from the shock, Kyung-soo weaves his web of lies, explaining he was sent on a top-secret shadow mission. He had to fake his death and infiltrate the police force to monitor every move of the high-ranking officials from the inside. But then he heard the news: the Phoenix lost the shipment and failed to breach the police station. A disgrace. He mentions the Phoenix's lover, wondering what her fate is now. He reveals he cut the recording signal with a jammer so they can speak freely, because her life depends on their next words. He leans in, voice dropping to a lethal whisper. If she is just sitting idle in the hideout after such a catastrophic failure, according to Buddha's orders, the consequences will be severe. The two criminals, terrified for their lives, look at Mr. Guang with desperate eyes. Guang said there was no need to worry about the Phoenix. The young lady was currently synthesizing a new compound in the lab. He thinks for a moment, a sharp glint in his eye, before cracking a knowing smile. It is time to dive into the dirty details. Back in his office, Hong-jun stares at the data in disbelief. A new compound exists, one 5 times more lethal than the last. He reveals the syndicate's terrifying ambition. They plan to flood the entire city with this poison. It will be on the streets within 6 months. He tosses the report across the desk. It contains everything, every hideout, every distributor. Hong-jun demands the location of the head of the snake, Phoenix. Kyung-soo leans back, shaking his head. Not even Buddha knows where she hides. Only her top lieutenants hold the keys to her sanctuary. The superintendent makes a hard call. To get the location, they have to drag the managers in, kicking and screaming. They need to breach the enemy headquarters, but it won't be a walk in the park. Deep within her fortress, Phoenix sits comfortably on her throne. Choi Sang-wook, the distribution manager, approaches cautiously. He questions the timeline, asking if 3 months isn't sheer madness. She knows the old adage that haste makes waste. Kim Dong-chul backs him up immediately. 2 of his men have already been snatched by the police. Rushing now is inviting death. It would be wiser to beg the mysterious Mr. Buddha for an extension. Phoenix's eyes narrow. Will they take the fall if she gets punished? Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tension. That is a given. Sangpai steps forward, introducing herself. She sneers, suggesting the title has gone to Phoenix's head. She demands to know what disasters occurred while she wasn't by her side. Phoenix remains ice cold. If she orders it done in 3 months, the deadline is absolute. Choi Sang-wook must connect every distribution route immediately. The date is set in stone. While Dong-chul scrambles to prepare, Phoenix pulls Sangpai into a private room. The scent of floral herbs fills the air as they embrace on the bed. The woman whispers softly to Phoenix, "Do not fear. I am here with you now." She promises to handle the dirty work with lightning speed. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Jang Yi gasps for air, begging the coach for mercy. Kyung-soo checks his watch coldly. They have rested for 10 minutes. That is enough. Get up. The girl protests the brutality. They heard nothing about this hellish training regiment. Kyung-soo reminds them they agreed to do whatever it takes. Jang-yi complains this is pure torture. They signed up to stop criminals, not to survive his death march. He stares them down. Do they really have the resolve? The three rookies grit their teeth and agree. He nods, then move. He leads them to a nondescript warehouse and throws the door open. Inside, they come face to face with a gang of thugs packaging Phoenix's product. Kyung-soo smirks. It seems they are in the right place. One of the gangsters stands up, confused. Who are you? Jang-yi calls out nervously to her instructor, but Kyung-soo ignores her. What are you waiting for? The enemy is right there. They must act fast. As the thugs realize these are cops, Kyung-soo shoves the trio forward, right into the lion's den. The rookies turn back in panic, but the gang leader barks orders to his men. He slams the warehouse door shut, locking them in. Have fun, boys. The three rookies are trapped. They immediately start panicking about their grim situation. Hee-jun trembles, unsure of what to do. He has fought one-on-one, but a mob. This is suicide. Se-young wants to go home, but Jang-yi screams at them to get a grip. Calm down, we aren't going to die here. Even though Kyung-soo is a demon instructor, he wouldn't abandon them to be slaughtered. They have to prove they are real police. Kyung-soo watches from the shadows, satisfied. At least she is smart enough to realize this is a test. Panic is the real enemy. Jang-yi yells for the boys to attack. Kyung-soo sighs her shouting is useless. Hee-jun asks how, and she tells him to just land the first blow. Hee-jun screams a battle cry and charges at an opponent, only to get smacked directly in the face. Jang-yi face bombs. He was supposed to hit them, not get hit. Hee-jun whines that it hurts, and the girl retorts, of course it does. But suddenly, the young man pauses. Wait, it doesn't hurt that much. Compared to Kyung-soo's fists, this thug's punch feels like a gentle breeze. A realization dawns on him. The hellish training worked. He winds up and lands a devastating blow on the opponent. Charge, he yells confidently. Se-young realizes it too. These guys are weak compared to their instructor. One thug tries to corner Hee-jun with a bat. Hee-jun notices too late, but Se-young is there. He grits his teeth, charging in and tackling the thug by the waist. Kyung-soo nods approvingly. They are finally fired up. The boys have potential. But he notices Jang-yi is standing back, offering only moral support. The gang boss roars in fury. His men are being decimated by two rookie cops. He rips off his shirt, revealing a tapestry of intimidation tattoos. You are a disgrace. He bellows. Hee-jun and Se-young freeze, terror returning to their eyes. Kyung-soo narrows his gaze. It is over. They let fear back into their minds. Once fear takes root, the body stiffens. The boss lunges forward with explosive speed, sending Hee-jun flying. Kyung-soo finishes the thought. The chance of failure skyrockets. The boss charges at Hee-jun again. Kyung-soo sighs. They still have a long way to go. The leader mocks his fallen subordinates for losing to weaklings. But then he spots the girl. Jang-yi raises her hands. I surrender. Jang-ji drops to her knees, trembling. Total surrender. She begs for mercy, swearing to spill every dirty secret she knows if only he spares her life. Kyung-soo watches her performance cold-eyed. She thinks she is being clever, but his sharp gaze catches a subtle shift in her posture. Flash of movement. She snatches a device from her pocket and lunges for the guard's shoe. Zap. The voltage drops him instantly as she screams for the others to freeze. The remaining thug roars, grinding his teeth in fury. He hurls insults and winds up a lethal strike. But before his fist can crush her, Kyung-soo vanishes, reappearing between them to neutralize the threat. Jang-ji stares in awe at his speed. Kyung-soo scoffs, dusting off his hands. This little scuffle proved only one thing. They were woefully unprepared for the real war. Secure the contraband on the table. He commands. Leave the trash for the cleanup crew. We don't have time to waste on pawns. The road ahead is treacherous. These three are just dead weight dragging them down. It is time to retreat and regroup before the enemy catches wind. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the underworld, Sangmuk towers over the captured subordinate. The air is thick with dread. The lackey stammers, trying to address him as sir and blaming the cops. Manager Choi silences him with a single, slicing gesture. Boss, another goon whispers. Look at the table. Sangmuk's gaze falls on the object. A calling card. Baekwang's symbol. Pure terror seizes his heart, his hands shaking uncontrollably as the nightmare returns. Back at headquarters, Hong-jun grins like a Cheshire cat. This hall is massive. We are looking at major distribution tiers here. The intel was solid. The plan is a go. Kyung-soo cuts the celebration short, his voice dead serious. Is the trap set? Have the ambush protocols been finalized? Almost, Hong-jun replies. I need to introduce our ace. She is one of the few souls in this corrupt city I actually trust. He turns to the door, voice booming. Come in. Say hello to the key player who will spearhead this operation alongside us. Enter Superintendent Kim An-young of the KMP. She offers a sharp, professional nod as Hong-jun introduces her to Senior Officer Kyung-soo. Her eyes narrow instantly. She stalks toward him. A mere senior officer lounging in the Superintendent General's office like he owns it. Have you lost your mind? Kyung-soo yawns, rubbing his knee dramatically. My legs are killing me. Hong-jun tries to intervene, panic rising. Hey, let's all just relax and focus on the plan. Stand up, she barks, cutting off the chief. I despise rude punks. Get on your feet before I help you up myself. She repeats the command, voice dropping an octave, heavy with threat. Kyung-soo smirks, challenging her with a lazy glance. Make me. What is this nonsense? Kim demands, veins popping. Kyung-soo shrugs, the picture of arrogance. I am comfortable. Why move? Fine, the superintendent sighs, cracking her knuckles. I never saw the point of this rigid hierarchy anyway. Let's see if you can back up that attitude. Excuse me, and Young bristles. If that is how you want to play, I will drag you up myself. The air between them crackles with murderous intent. Superintendent Kim. Hong-jun yells, sweat forming on his brow. Don't engage him. You don't know who you are dealing with. She ignores the warning. She finds a retreat, then explodes forward. A deceptive leg movement transitions instantly into a lightning-fast high kick aimed at his head. Asterisk whoosh. Asterisk Kyung-soo leans back, the heel missing his nose by millimeters. Asterisk capoeira. Asterisk he thinks. Asterisk interesting choice. Asterisk. The KMP Seoul division is elite. Unlike the local cops, she is on a different level. But Kyung-soo weaves through her barrage like smoke. Insolent brat. She screams, missing every strike. How dare you dodge? Her frustration boils over. If you won't stand, I will break your limbs and drag your carcass out of here by force. Asterisk fast. Asterisk Kyung-soo analyzes, watching her movements in slow motion. Asterisk she switched to grappling mid-stride. Her footwork puts Song-an to shame. Asterisk. He flicks his fingers, targeting her chin with surgical precision. Asterisk she is dangerous. She is a perfect piece for my chessboard. Asterisk. Asterisk thud. Asterisk the lights go out. An-young loses consciousness mid-attack, collapsing softly right into the protagonist's lap. I thought you were dragging me out? Kyung-soo whispers into her ear, mocking her unconscious form. Why are you taking a nap on me instead? She snaps awake, face burning with humiliation. She charges again, unleashing incredible physical prowess, but he remains an untouchable phantom. In the corner, Hong-jun unwraps a chocolate bar, munching happily. Man, this show is great. And so is the snack. The dust settles, and Young straightens her uniform, composure regained with effort. Enough. Briefing starts now. I will explain Operation Phoenix Polonia. Intel confirms the distribution managers meet in the club basement on the last weekend of every month. That gives us exactly 2 weeks to prepare. We strike then. My unit will take point. Kyung-soo, your team will provide support. We crush them in one fell swoop. And Young narrows her eyes at Hong-jun. Wait. How reliable is this source? Can we actually trust this intel with our lives? I got it from the interrogation, Hong-jun claims. She slams her hand on the table. Don't toy with me. Those suspects kept their mouths shut tight. Trust him. Kyung-soo interjects coolly. I extracted the information myself. She whirls on him. Shut your mouth and stop speaking informally to a superior. I don't buy it, she hisses, glaring daggers. I need to hear it from their own lips. I am going back into the interrogation room now. That won't be possible, hong-jun says, his voice losing all humor. The suspects. Unfortunately, they were found dead in their cells. And Young freezes, shock washing over her face. Kyung-soo frowns, eyes darkening. How is the station's security that pathetic? Focus, hong-jun commands. We have to be ready. We meet again at the operation briefing. Dismissed, and Young lingers, whispering, how did they die? As she leaves, the general superintendent signals Kyung-soo with a serious look. Not you. Stay a moment. And Young pauses at the door, glancing back at the chaos. You got lucky today, she warns, hand brushing her holster. My specialty isn't hand-to-hand. It is marksmanship. Next time I come for you, I won't miss. Kyung-soo shakes his head in disbelief, muttering that she has completely lost her mind. Suddenly, Hong-jun calls out to the protagonist, his voice urgent. He holds up an object discovered in the interrogation room right where the two bodies were found. His eyes narrow as he presents the item. He asks sharply if this card holds any significance to him. The protagonist recognizes it instantly. It is the crane. Meanwhile, deep in the hideout, Phoenix clutches Guang's card, her hands trembling with fear. Sangma notes grimly that it was recovered at the warehouse during the police ambush. Beside him, Dong-chul nervously asks if they should report this failure to Mr. Buddha. Phoenix snaps back immediately, refusing the suggestion. Guang is dead. It's impossible. Besides, bothering Buddha with such nonsense would only invite his wrath. She grits her teeth, declaring they must push forward with the plan. This is her last chance for redemption. Failure now means facing a fate worse than death. Panic sets in as she wonders how the police obtained Guang's card. It defies all logic. The terrifying realization hits her. If she fails, her life is forfeit. A scream tears from her throat as she collapses into a mental breakdown. Seeing her state, the managers shout orders to bring Miss Sangpai immediately. Heavy incense smoke curls into the air as the mysterious woman soothes Phoenix, closing her eyes. She summons her to subordinates, who bow and ask what their mistress desires. Phoenix barely whispers the command to proceed with the plan. Dong-chul argues that it's suicide since the police know everything. But Phoenix ignores him and cries out for Miss Sangpai. She orders Sangpai to dose the subordinates as well. Fear breeds mistakes, and she cannot afford for them to hesitate now. The woman bows, accepting the command with a sinister smile. She beckons the men to step forward and receive their blessing. Holding a packet of Paulownia flowers, Phoenix explains it was just refined by Sangpai herself. Pure and potent, without choice, the two men consume the substance. Dong-chul's eyes glaze over as he murmurs that his fear is vanishing. Beside him, Sang-muk grins vacantly, agreeing that everything is perfect, and the plan will proceed. Meanwhile, back at the training grounds, Kyung-soo scowls. He complains loudly that the situation is a complete disaster. He wonders if the others deserted them. Ya-young chimes in, mentioning they supposedly stopped by the hospital on their way here. The protagonist observes that the team is woefully unprepared. However, a steely glint enters his eye as he notes that this might actually work in their favor. Ya-young suggests taking a break since she is the only one present. The protagonist shuts that down instantly until the others arrive. The two of them will spar. He declares this will be her special hell training. Confused, the girl blinks and repeats his words, unsure if she heard correctly. The protagonist bluntly states that her physical condition is pathetic. She protests that she is in good shape, but he cuts her off. She is completely unprepared for real combat. She lacks muscle mass, and while she has stamina, her flexibility is as rigid as a statue. She possesses zero traits of a fighter. With a dangerous operation looming, he warns her cold-heartedly, at this rate, she will be the first one to die. A shiver runs down her spine. She asks quietly what kind of operation could be so deadly. Kyung-soo watches her, admitting to himself that he once wondered how she ever became a cop. But over time, he realized the truth. She isn't just smart, she is brilliant. Rumor has it she memorized every restaurant number in the district, earning the nickname Human Delivery Service. Kyung-soo steps forward, his voice serious. He warns that if she wants to survive the coming storm, she needs a strategy. She must stop trying to hide her weaknesses. Instead, She needs to pour everything into sharpening her unique strengths. From this moment on, the collapsible baton is her lifeline. Extended, it is a weapon of war. Folded, it is her shield against death. A devilish grin forms on his face. He promises to take extra special care of her training until her body moves on instinct alone. He taps her forehead, telling her to etch this into that genius brain of hers. Puzzled, she asks exactly what she needs to memorize. The protagonist replies ominously that she will find out soon enough. She pleads for an answer, but he just tells her to wait and watch. The day drags on, leaving Hee-jun and Sun-han in awe of the destruction. They look around, wondering what kind of hurricane tore through the training ground. The girl gasps that it was intense. The others beg to know what happened, but the protagonist stops them. They will find out soon enough. Ignorance is bliss. Seeing his expression, the two immediately retract their question, begging to live the rest of their lives without ever knowing that horror. Time flies mercilessly. 15 days later, the fateful night of Operation Phoenix Polonia finally arrives. Hee-jun groans, traumatized by the grueling 15 days of hell they just survived. Sun-han agrees, praying never to relive it. Gang Hee asks nervously what kind of operation requires teaming up with K and P-Soul. Ah-young scans the dark forest, demanding to know what is hidden there. She warns that if this is a wild goose chase, she will settle the score with the protagonist personally. Suddenly, the point man freezes. He whispers urgently into the comms, calling for the captain. They have reached the target. A tunnel looms ahead, guarded by two bizarre-looking sentries. While Junji questions the situation, Ah-young acts on instinct, moving silently to the front. She moves like a shadow. In a flash, her weapon strikes, neutralizing the first guard before he can even blink. The second guard reaches for his pocket, but he is too slow. Ah-young drops him with a precise strike. The rest of the squad watches in stunned silence, awed by her lethal efficiency. Coolly, the girl keys her radio. She reports that the targets are down and the path is clear. The operation begins now. Kyung-soo whistles, impressed by her incredible skill. He signals the team to move out immediately. But Ah-young abruptly orders them to halt. They need to stay and secure the prisoners. The protagonist shakes his head, telling her that she isn't thinking straight. The real danger lies ahead. The female officer scoffs. The idea of the elite KMP Seoul working alongside lowly city cops? It is basically a bad joke. Dongji tries to protest, but she cuts him off with a sharp laugh. The audacity of a city cop talking back to her, unbelievable. She is only tolerating them because of the superintendent's direct orders. But make no mistake, they need to stay out of the way, or they will just be baggage. Kyung-soo actually prefers it this way. Without the dead weight, he will not have to hold back his true strength. And Young smirks, thinking he is finally submitting to her command. With a wave of her hand, she orders the squad to advance into the darkness. The protagonist scans the perimeter after silently neutralizing the entrance guards. They descend the long staircase, plunging into the belly of the beast. Inside, the bass thumps like a dying heartbeat. But the crowd is not dancing, they are swaying in a terrifying, zombie-like trance. And Young freezes, confused by the eerie sight. But Dongchul sighs. He knew this chaotic moment was inevitable. Realizing the situation has gone south, he grabs a microphone. His voice booms over the speakers, addressing every club member. Listen up, we have unwanted guests crashing our party. Rats have scurried in to ruin the fun. He offers a dark reward: capture the intruders, and earn a month of unlimited access to their special treatments. Operation Phoenix comes into full effect, and Young screams for her squad to raise their shields as the atmosphere shifts violently. The entranced crowd turns into a mob, surging toward the police like a tidal wave. The officers' shields buckle under the sheer weight of the assault. Their strength is unnatural. Dongchul realizes the dilemma if they use lethal force on civilians. The police are finished, and Young orders the containment platoon to mask up. She pulls the pin on a tear gas grenade and hurls it into the fray. Push them back, she commands. But through the smoke, a soldier's panicked voice cries out to the captain, and Young is stunned the gas is not working. Dongchul laughs. The euphoria from the drugs has made them immune to pain. He barks orders to his men to secure the special items and smuggle them to Miss Sangpyo through the rear exit. Suddenly, a shadow bursts into the room. It is Kyung-soo, and Young whirls around, shouting for him to get back information. Ignoring her, the protagonist sprints forward. He uses her shoulder as a launch pad, soaring through the air toward Dong-chul with lethal intent. A swift, crushing blow descends. Dong-chul barely reacts in time, blocking the strike with his heavy radio just before it caves in his skull. Kyung-soo narrows his eyes. This is not just a thug, unlike the boss. The subordinate has been trained in genuine martial arts. Below them, the line is breaking. The frenzied mob is pushing the police back with overwhelming numbers. Dong-chul sneers. Do you really think brute force will save you? The protagonist calls his name, causing the manager to flinch. In that split second, the protagonist vanishes. He reappears instantly, landing a flurry of devastating blows to Dong-chul's chest. And Young gasps at his godlike speed. Dong-chul stumbles, gasping for air. Before he can recover, the protagonist's hand clamps around his throat like a vice. He slams the manager against the wall. Why look away? Did I seem weak to you? Kyung-soo mocks, assuring him the wound is not fatal yet. Recalling the order to avoid killing, Kyung-soo shifts tactics. With a blur of motion, he drives a blade into the wall, pinning Dong-chul's clothes and restricting his hands. The wall cracks from the impact. Dong-chul trembles, realizing how close he just came to death. Stay right there, Kyung-soo orders coldly. When Dong-chul demands to know his identity, the protagonist walks away. I do not even know myself. Nearby, and Young shoves a crazed addict aside. She looks up, realizing the tide has turned. She starts to warn about reinforcements, but her voice dies in her throat. She sees Dong-chul taped and pinned to the wall like a butterfly. Even though it is just adhesive tape, the manager cannot move. He looks pale, defeated by sheer intimidation. Who's that guy? Dong-chul wheezes, and Young rips off her mask, staring at Kyung-soo's back. I would like to know that too. Kyung-soo advances, dropping bodies left and right. He steps over the defeated subordinates and shouts, Phoenix, come out and face me. And Young advises Dong-chul to surrender and get medical help. But he shakes his head. There are too many cops here now. I have not seen a force this large since my days in the special forces, he mutters. His eyes darkening, and Young stiffens. Nice to see you, rookies. He grins maliciously. I am Kim Dong-chul, Class 29X. He raises a detonator device, causing Young to scream for cover. Meanwhile, outside the club, the three rookies are stuck on standby, oblivious to the chaos inside. Hee-jun looks anxious, hearing the muffled sounds of combat. Do you think Kyung-soo is okay? But Sun reminds him they were ordered to wait. Jae-young kicks the ground in frustration. Why bring us if we are just placeholders? What was all that secret training for? They vent their grievances, unaware of a massive shadow looming over them. Sang-muk has arrived. What are police doing here? His voice rumbles like thunder. The three rookies flinch, instinctively backing away from his overwhelming presence. Kang-hee reacts on instinct, drawing her taser and firing. The probes fly, but the giant man simply catches the wires with his bare hand. With a casual yank, he snaps the weapon in half. The rookies stare in horror as he grins. That did not even tickle. But that chemistry was nothing compared to the true terror Miss Phoenix could unleash. Firearms were a touchy subject in Korea, locked down by iron-fisted regulations. Even the police were not exempt from these chains. A case where an officer discharged live ammunition. That was a rarity almost unheard of in this country. That is precisely why officers were trained with non-lethal tools, tasers, rubber bullets, weapons designed to stop a heart, not blow it apart. Dong-chul mocked them, clutching the blue candy like a lifeline. He dared them to shoot, confident that their rubber toys would only tickle his enhanced durability. An officer stammered, asking what that table was made of, and Young realized their mistake instantly. Non-lethal force wouldn't work. It was time to switch to live rounds. She announced herself as Kim An-young from Class 30X. The next volley would be real lead. She offered him one last chance to surrender and treat his wounds. But Dong-chul spat at the offer. He would rather die fighting than be slapped in cuffs. Surrender meant rotting in a concrete cell for the rest of his life. Worse, it meant a life without his stimulants. That was a hell he refused to enter. And Young asked if he was truly choosing drugs over his own life. Dang Chul's eyes went cold. His life had ended the moment he left active duty. It started on a mission where he found certain illicit substances. He had abused his rank, scouring the area not for justice, but for a higher quality high. But the human body is a greedy vessel. Over time, immunity built up. Soon, the street trash couldn't satisfy the hunger gnawing at his soul. Then he met her, the Phoenix. She approached him, knowing his reputation as the man whose body had become a fortress against stimulants. She handed him the blue candy. She claimed it was crafted from the purest ingredients on earth. A devil's offer to see if he could handle the heat. Dang Chul had placed the candy on his tongue. The reaction was instantaneous, absolute magic. He was launched into a state of godlike euphoria. It wasn't just a high, it was like being struck by lightning and surviving. Phoenix smirked, asking if it was to his liking. She promised him even greater power if he pledged his loyalty. Dang Chul didn't hesitate. He would do anything, everything. The girl had one rule: never consume more than one a day. The potency was lethal. Any more, and his body would crumble. But back in the present, Dang Chul laughed maniacally. He was cornered. Captured or dead, the promise didn't matter anymore. Bleeding and broken, he looked at his enemies with pity. Since he would never taste this nectar again, he made a choice. He shoved every single candy into his mouth. And Young screamed that the ammo was ready. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. She began the countdown, but before she could finish, the barrel of Dang Chul's weapon peeked out from behind his cover. Bang! He fired blindly. The projectile ricocheted off the wall with deadly geometry. Heading straight for the girl, she barely ducked in time. She realized with horror that he was banking shots off the walls. Dang Chul rose like a demon, screaming at his juniors to stop freezing up. They needed to send their seniors off with a bang. He fired again. Meanwhile, in another corridor, Kyung-soo dodged a bullet with supernatural reflexes. Enemies poured fire on him, but Kyung-soo was a blur of motion. He seized her wrist, shattering the bone to force the weapon drop, and drew his own gun in one fluid motion. One shot, one kill. The target was neutralized before he hit the floor. He moved through the squad like a reaper, gunning one down and crushing another with a devastating strike. Suddenly, a noise echoed from Miss Sangpa's room. Kyung-soo marched toward the source and kicked the door open. He stood face to face with the woman herself. She smiled, wondering what caused such a ruckus. So, it was him, just as Miss Phoenix had warned. The intruder had arrived. She had planned to pay him a personal visit, but he had saved her the trip. Kyung-soo smirked, asking if she liked his surprise entrance. After all, he was standing before the first-generation Phoenix. Madame Sangpa narrowed her eyes, demanding to know his identity. The protagonist chuckled. He heard that question often. He promised to give her a history lesson she wouldn't forget. Meanwhile, Young kept suppressing the main hall. Bullets shredded the cover, some finding their mark in Dang Chul's flesh. Young ordered continuous fire, but then she froze. Dang Chul had lifted the heavy table. Panic rippled through the officers. One raised a shield just as Dang Chul hurled the furniture with monstrous strength, knocking the formation apart. Young grit her teeth. At this rate, their defense would collapse. Dang Chul advanced, crouching low like a beast. He held a blade, eyes locked on the squad. An officer raised a shield in defense. Bad move. Dang Chul struck from below the helmet line, exploiting the gap. Young watched in shock as the officer went down. Dang Chul scoffed at the fallen man. Raising a shield blindly was a rookie mistake, born of the fear of defeat. Screams echoed as the formation broke. Dang Chul grinned, blood dripping from his teeth. He was right in front of her now. Young hesitated. She couldn't shoot without hitting her own team. She pointed the gun at herself. No, she feinted, shoving Dang Chul back with a desperate tackle. The man stumbled back, creating space. Young didn't waste the split second. She squeezed the trigger, unloading round after round into him. He collapsed. An officer shouted that the target was down. Young gasped for air, surprised it was finally over. But Dang Chul wasn't dead. He growled a warning the party was just starting. He tossed a canister toward them, a smoke grenade. Darkness engulfed the hallway. One soldier panicked, shouting he couldn't see. An instant later, he was struck by a heavy blow and crumbled to the floor. What the hell was that? Yunhong shouted, eyes scanning the horizon for the sniper. If we keep screaming like sitting ducks, we're dead meat. Dong Chul scoffs, looking down at his victims. Panic just because one of you fell. Pathetic. He shakes his head. Gear gets better, but trash like you never change. He lands another devastating blow. Consider this a final lesson for your juniors. The price of tuition is your total defeat. Terror grips one of the soldiers. His hands tremble violently. A shadow moves in the smoke. He screams and opens fire blindly, but the silhouette doesn't fall. The soldier freezes. It wasn't an enemy. It was his own teammate, shouting through the haze, "You idiot! Where are you shooting?" Chaos reigns supreme. Ah Young hears the sickening thud of bodies hitting the floor. Gunshots ring out, but she has no target. Panic claws at her throat. Her mind races. Is this the end? Is she next? Beside her, Kim and Hying whimper in pure terror. Ah Young strains her eyes against the smoke. A figure stands there. Friend or Reaper? The smoke clears. It's Dong Chul, gun in hand. Relief washes over her until it turns to ice. He's standing still, frozen like a statue. She steps closer, heart pounding. Dong Chul, did you lose? But as the adrenaline fades, the grim reality comes into sharp focus. It wasn't just him. She looks around in horror. Everyone is down. Her entire squad annihilated. Denial shatters into a million pieces. For the first time in her life, true despair crashes over her like a tidal wave. She is utterly alone. Kim and Hying can only let out frightened squeaks. Suddenly a blood-curdling scream tears through the silence. Ah Young whips her head around. Jae is shrieking. It's not working. Nothing works. Sangmuk chases them down like a predator playing with food. Run, little rats. He laughs. This isn't training anymore. Flashback to Baekgwan's brutal training. His philosophy was simple and absolute. He mapped out the entire human body for them, every weakness, every pressure point. Blunt weapons, he'd growl, smash the solar plexus, crush the back of the head, shatter the joints, blades, sever the arteries where blood flows fastest. The rule was ironclad: analyze the weapon, aim for the vitals, and end the fight instantly. One strike to the right spot. That was all it was supposed to take to drop a man. But there are always monsters who defy the rules. They jam their batons into Sangmuk's neck with full force. Batman just scoffs. That didn't even tickle. Back in reality, the screams continue. They scramble away in sheer panic. Jae cries out for their leader's help, but in her haste, she trips over a soft obstacle. What? She looks down. Sean retches, face green. Jae follows his gaze and gasps. The floor is carpeted with their elite officers. Ah Young stands among the bodies, eyes dead with shock. Is this real? Jae whispers. Sangmuk grins, impressed. Dong Chul, you beast. You cleaned house. But then he notices. His friend hasn't moved an inch. The grin falls from Sangmuk's face. A cold chill runs down his spine. Dong Chul, he calls out, voice trembling. Meanwhile, deep inside the complex, Kyung-soo calls out into the darkness. Hey, former Phoenix, where's the new boss hiding? Sangpai narrows her eyes. Who are you? The protagonist smirks, danger radiating from him. Take a guess. A woman of your position isn't naive enough to ask that. She plays coy, tilting her head. I'm not sure. My guess, you're just an interesting guest. Perhaps under different circumstances, I would have served you tea instead of this. Faint, she rips a hidden patch from her shirt, but Kyung-soo moves like lightning. Standard tactic for junkies like you. He spits. He catches her mid-motion and hurls her across the room. She was trying to stall to apply a buff. Not happening. She scrambles up, clutching the patch. Kyung-soo flies in with a devastating kick. You talk too much, *slam. His shin connects with her arm, bone rattling. The impact is massive. She grits her teeth, secretly shifting a pill inside her mouth. To slow, Kyung-soo's hand clamps over her face. Also very obvious, he mocks. Must be annoying keeping that in there. He forces her jaw open and fishes out the pill. Sangpai struggles, trying to lock his limbs. Kyung-soo shakes his head. Without your drugs, your technique is the very definition of useless. He lifts her up and slams her onto the table. Asterisk crash, asterisk. She groans, pain flaring. Kyung-soo leans in, eyes cold. Give me the Phoenix's location. There's no honor in protecting a coward who hides while her men die. I am not a coward, Sang-pai hisses. True, Kyung-soo agrees darkly. You're just a drug addict. Tell me where he is, or the worst is yet to come. He raises a fist, but suddenly, paper balls bounce off his back. He spins around, surprised. Children, a group of kids glare at him with pure hatred. You bad guy, a little girl screams. Kyung-soo blinks in confusion. Sang-pai smirks from the table. You're late. I told you to come if you heard noise. One of the boys charges, a blade in his trembling hand. Get away from Miss Sang-pai. Kyung-soo sighs and sidesteps effortlessly. Asterisk whack, asterisk a precise chop to the neck. He immobilizes the kid instantly, without hurting him. The other two boys rush him blindly. Kyung-soo repeats the motion. Asterisk thud, thud. Asterisk the children drop to the floor, unconscious but safe. Sang-pai's eyes widen. What are you doing? The stimulant finally kicks in. Kyung-soo stares at her, disgust in his eyes. Did you really just use children as human shields? Sang-pai smirks, wiping blood from her lip. Who knows? The protagonist doesn't waste his breath. He kicks the fallen blade into the air, snatching it mid-flight with terrifying precision. His eyes burn with cold fury as he warns, tricks won't save you. You've made me angry. And now you will be stopped. Memories flash back to a desolate wasteland years ago. Sang-pai stood in the shadows, watching intently. Young Guang was facing an opponent in the training grounds. Ruda stepped forward, his presence commanding as he observed the scene. What do your eyes tell you? He asked. This child, he is destined to be the next Guang. The Phoenix hesitated, her brow furrowed. I am not certain. He possesses raw power that surpasses the first generation. Yet, he seems unable to deliver the killing blow. Is he truly the ambiguous Guang you fear? Ruda shook his head, a knowing smile playing on his lips. You are mistaken. Your perception is dull, clouded by the substances you consume. Ruda's voice dropped to a whisper. He isn't unable to finish the fight. He is simply choosing not to. Sang-pai scoffed in disbelief. Toying with a monk-class fighter, Ruda's gaze darkened. When that boy arrived, he dismantled every other candidate. The first-generation Guang was the only one left standing. He pointed toward the arena. Look again. Feel the intent hidden beneath the surface. Do you see the countless openings he deliberately creates? It is a dance of death, beautiful and fluid, like willow leaves drifting in the wind. There is no one more suitable to inherit the title. Back in the present, steel slices through flesh. Sang-pai staggers under a flurry of strikes. Asterisk so. This is what he meant. Asterisk. Clarity strikes her amidst the pain. This man is undeniably Guang. His blade moves with that same terrifying grace. Speed and precision mirroring the willow leaves in a gale. The clash ends as quickly as it began. Sang-pai collapses, her strength draining into the cold earth, utterly defeated. The protagonist looms over her, his shadow swallowing her whole. I will ask one last time. Where's the Phoenix hiding? Sang-pai manages a weak rasp. If I tell you, will you still silence me? I will, he confirms, his voice void of emotion. But I will make it quick. Hearing this, a faint, bitter smile cracks her bloodied lips. Long ago, Sang-pai, the first-generation Phoenix, abandoned her position as the month of November. But fate is a cruel mistress. Ruda had placed her life in the hands of her successor. The laws of the months are absolute. When a new generation rises, a succession ceremony must occur, a ritual completed only by the death of the predecessor. However, the ritual was broken. The new Phoenix refused to strike down the old. Why? The young successor had asked, tears welling in her eyes. Do you know how much poison I swallowed to become strong? Did you think I wouldn't notice? I spared you, yet you still tried to kill me? Her voice trembled, heavy with betrayal. Do you hate me that much? Sang-pai's answer had been cold as ice. I will never accept you. The new Phoenix broke down, sobbing. Why does everyone despise me? They tried to kill me for being weak. So I fought. I clawed my way up to become a month. But now, Now you hate me for using drugs to survive? You of all people, she screamed. You walk this same hellish path. You should understand. She stood up, wiping her tears with a desperate resolve. Fine, then let's make a deal. If I drink this poison, you have to like me. Without hesitation, she downed the deadly concoction right before Sangpi's horrified eyes. There, she gasped. How about that? Blood began to pour from her eyes and mouth, painting a grotesque mask. I drank it all, she choked out, smiling through the agony. I did good, right? From now on, you have to love me. She begged for just one kind word. Sangpi, who had lived only for herself, watched the broken girl collapse into her arms. And for the first time in her wretched life, she felt the warmth of love. Back in the present, Sangpi looks at the protagonist. How could I? She thinks. How could I risk sending the first person I ever loved to hell? Guang shows no mercy. He crushes her chest beneath his boot. If that is your final answer, he declares coldly, then you can go to hell first. The blade flashes. The final cut is made. The protagonist turns his back, already moving on. I'll just drag the answer out of the other bastards. But Sangpi uses her dying breath for one last prophecy. Miss Phoenix. She will return to this place. And the children, she rasps, vision fading. They are your burden now. Please, do not take the Phoenix's life. That was her final plea to Guang. The protagonist pauses, the words lingering in the air. Meanwhile, miles away, the roar of an engine tears through the silence. The Phoenix is speeding toward them on a motorcycle. Guang mutters, that depends entirely on what that damn woman does. Suddenly, chaos erupts. Sangmuk bellows, commanding Dongchul and Youngyi to support the captain. One rushes to his fallen comrade, while the girl screams at her captain. Wake up, pull yourself together. She slaps him repeatedly, but his eyes remain glazed. Desperate, she orders the others to strike him. But Haijun shouts a frantic warning. Wait. Sangmuk used the rage patches. He's lost his mind over his friend's death. A beast unleashed, Sangmuk charges, a juggernaut of pure fury. Block him, the girl shrieks. Too late. With a devastating elbow strike, Sangmuk sends to fighters flying like ragdolls. He locks onto the girl, eyes glowing red. I'm going to rip you apart, he growls, organ by organ. His massive hand closes in on her face. Death seems certain. Then splatter. Fresh blood sprays the air, but it belongs to the beast. Sangmuk howls as a blade slices him open. Youngyi screams her friend's name in horror. Kangsu steps between them, blade dripping. I won't let you tear my colleagues apart, he sneers. Not yet. After all, this girl's body is still useful to me. He glances down at Dongchul. I struck his pressure points, yet you were still overwhelmed. He shakes his head. I underestimated his incompetence. Suddenly, a shadow looms. Sangmuk attacks from behind. The protagonist spins, blocking the blow with his shield. Ha, he taunts. That must have stung. Sangmuk roars, clutching his shattered hand. The protagonist doesn't wait, calling out to the remaining three fighters. Secure the unconscious brats, he commands, eyes narrowing. I'm ending this farce right now. His hand drops to his holster. He draws his gun. Desperate, Sangmuk grabs two unconscious bodies, using them as meat shields. Go ahead. He dares him. Shoot if you can. The protagonist's expression doesn't flicker. He accepts the challenge. Bang. The bullet threads the needle between the bodies, slamming directly into Sangmuk's shoulder. He howls in agony, collapsing as Kyungsu steps forward, lowering his weapon with cold mercy. I won't take your life, the protagonist declares. In this living hell, survival is a far heavier burden than death. He needed to keep at least one of them alive to carry that weight. Sangmuk's confusion instantly ignites into rage. What the hell was that? He roars, charging forward blindly. You bastard! But Kyungsu is faster. Two shots ring out, shattering the man's legs and dropping him instantly. Turning to the terrified trio, the protagonist issues a cold command. Report to base. We're returning. Trembling, they scramble to acknowledge the order. Kyungsu grits his teeth, frustration bubbling beneath his stoic expression. He thought this mission would be a walk in the park, but he had severely miscalculated the chaos. He had held high expectations for this team, especially for the girl who now stands before him, completely broken by the pressure. "Tie him up," Jaime stammers, her voice trembling. Kyung-soo sighs internally. Compared to the monsters he usually deals with, she's fragile. He definitely overestimated her abilities. "Just give up," he tells the three of them, his voice flat. But before the words settle, a shift in the air catches his attention. A roar cuts through the silence. Suddenly, Phoenix bursts onto the scene, her motorcycle screaming like a missile. She aims her roaring machine straight for the spot where the protagonist stands. Kyung-soo raises his rifle instantly, firing a suppression round. But Phoenix is a demon behind the handlebars. She swerves, slamming her rear tire into his shield with crushing force. The massive impact sends the protagonist skidding backward. Tires screech as the girl drifts to a halt, tearing off her helmet to reveal a fierce gaze. "My lady," Sang-muk cries out from the ground. Hee-jun stares in horror, recognizing the unique patch on her jacket. It was the lunatic from the other day. Phoenix. Phoenix doesn't waste time on pleasantries. "Sang-muk, gather the others and move," she barks. "Finding a rat hole out of here was harder than I expected." She glares at the survivors. "I'd rather get chewed out by the boss than see you all die here." But Sang-muk delivers the grim news, his voice breaking. Everyone else is already gone. "I'm the only one left." Phoenix freezes, shock washing over her face, until the protagonist steps forward to confirm the nightmare. "They are all lifeless," he states, coldly listing the fallen names like a grocery list. Rage detonates within Phoenix. She revs her engine, the machine growling in sync with her fury as she reaches into her jacket. Steel shurikens dance between her fingers, glinting in the dim light. "I'll take your head myself," she hisses, eyes burning with vengeance. Kyung-soo feigns a gasp, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Oh no, that is absolutely terrifying." The scene shifts to the distant past. Guang sat nursing a shattered arm when a familiar voice called out. It was Phoenix, young and concerned. "Looks like Lord Buddha chewed you out again," she noted, asking if he was all right. "I'm fine," Guang replied, his voice steady. "My own weakness is to blame for this." Her eyes shone with admiration. "Lord Buddha said you're in charge of evaluating us starting next month. I'm so relieved to have you in command now." Envy colored her voice as she continued. He had been promoted to one of the months and even earned a true name. "Besides, the name Guang sounds so cool," she whispered. "Do you think I can get a name too?" Guang chuckled softly. "Your dreams are too big, kid." Phoenix pouted, kicking at the dirt. "The relationship between the months is awful, you know. But if I become one, you have to promise to still be friendly with me." The memory shatters. Back in the present, Phoenix hurls a cluster of flowers at him. One strikes his glove and detonates. Boom. Narcotic smoke. Kyung-soo realizes as a thick, disorienting haze envelops him. It lacks explosive power, but the smoke is dense, significantly blocking his vision. His injured arm feels stiff, but he forces it to move. He's not done yet. Through the fog, an engine roars. Phoenix charges. The protagonist sidesteps at the last second, forcing the girl to skid to a halt as she misses her target. "How long will you keep running?" she screams, frustration boiling over. But then, she notices something. The protagonist has already leaped toward the staircase. "You think stairs can stop me?" With a defiant rev, she rides the motorcycle straight up the steps after him. On the second floor, the protagonist sprints through an open room. The narcotic smoke chases him and so does the roaring nightmare onto wheels. Suddenly, Phoenix spots obstacles ahead, her own fallen subordinates littering the floor. "Come and get me," Kyung-soo taunts from the shadows. "But be careful not to crush your own people." Displaying absurd skill, Phoenix weaves the heavy bike through the bodies without a single graze. She brakes hard, scanning the room. The protagonist is gone. "You're pretty good with that toy," a voice echoes from above. He hangs from the ceiling pipes like a predator. Before she can react, he drops, locking his arms around her neck in a vice-like chokehold. Phoenix doesn't panic. She throttles the engine to max. "Trying to throw me off?" Kyung-soo grunts against the G-force. "Bold move when you're not wearing a helmet." The bike veers wildly, losing control. Both of them are launched into the air, tumbling in opposite directions. Kyung-soo clutches his lower back, groaning in annoyance. That's the second time I've hit the floor today. Phoenix scrambles to her feet, eyes blazing. Who the hell are you? If it weren't for you, everything would have gone according to my plan, she screams. Kyung-soo looks at her, a strange familiarity in his gaze. I'm not sure when it started, he muses. But at some point, you began blaming me for everything. You used to follow me around like a puppy. The person you should be blaming isn't me. Phoenix covers her ears, screaming, Shut up. Don't talk about things you don't understand. Tell me who the hell you are, she demands. The protagonist stands tall, the dust swirling around him. Guang. That was his name. The girl freezes. What? What did you say? What the hell are you talking about? The protagonist's voice cuts through her confusion. Phoenix, surrender, he commands, his tone shifting from enemy to superior. I plan to take your life, but you manage the funds. You might have transaction data we need. He extends a hand, the ultimatum hanging in the air. They want you brought in alive. He demands she testify against that bastard monk and expose every shred of evidence regarding the hell she endured. In exchange, he grants her a single mercy, her life. Phoenix erupts into hysterical laughter, mocking him. Guang had a secret disciple. A cop, no less. Kyung-soo counters coldly. She, of all people, knows Guang had no disciples. She investigated him thoroughly when she joined the sect. Did she truly believe he wouldn't sense a tail during his missions? In all of Waga, only two people harbored such hatred for that monk. The two of them standing right here. He demands to know why she stayed. The girl screams at him to shut up, her voice cracking, claiming Guang was already a corpse. Unable to act, even Lord Buddha himself had cornered her, whispering a chilling ultimatum, obey, or she would be the next to vanish. Kyung-soo scoffs, calling it a hard sell. Tears stream down the girl's face as she sobs that Guang never spoke such cruel words to his own disciple. Memories of the past flood back, fueling a hatred for Guang that eclipses even her fear of Lord Buddha. Desperate, she slaps two more special stimulant patches onto her face. Phoenix charges with reckless abandon, but the protagonist stands like an iron fortress. As she leaves an opening, he drives a devastating strike into her abdomen, right where the Polania flowers are rooted. A cloud of strange smoke explodes outward, momentarily stunning the protagonist. A twisted euphoria washes over her. She gasps, claiming the sensation is absolute bliss. These substances were the only salvation in her miserable life. Whether it was a splitting headache, a stomach cramp, or a gaping wound, the drugs were the cure-all miracle she relied on. No matter how dire the hell she found herself in, these chemicals washed the pain away, leaving only numbness. Seizing the moment, Phoenix lands a solid punch squarely on the protagonist's face. The rush is so intoxicating she replays the impact in her mind like a favorite movie scene. If used as medicine, the body heals, but abusing these compounds only breeds delusion, severing the mind from the harsh truth of reality. She screams, demanding to know how he is still standing, but the grim reality refuses to bend to her drug-fueled fantasy. The high fades, replaced by agonizing panic as the drugs turn on her. She reels in confusion. She was winning just a second ago. She needs more power, now. The protagonist looks down at her with cold pity, telling her to abandon this pathetic struggle. The words pierce through her haze, forcing a moment of clarity. Yet, she forces herself up, clutching her patches. Who the hell do you think you are? She snarls. I know you better than anyone, Kyung-soo replies, his voice heavy with history. As he snatches the patches and tosses them high into the air, a primal scream tears from her throat as she leaps, desperate to catch her precious lifeline mid-flight. Surrender, he commands, striking her down with a single, decisive blow. She exposed her weakness the moment she chose the drugs. Defeated, she whimpers, begging him for just one hit. Kyung-soo makes a cold bargain. Swear your surrender, and I will give you a single dose. Phoenix begs him to just kill her. The terror of Lord Buddha's wrath far outweighs the pain of a beating. Kyung-soo pauses. Sangpil asked for a favor. She begged me to spare you. Phoenix spits back. If you were really Guang, you wouldn't have spared Sangpil either. You would have extracted her intel by force. The protagonist explains the difference. Sangpil got dragged into the mess involving the children. Judging by the shock on Phoenix's face, she had no idea the sect was targeting kids. He asks if she finally understands why he held back. Phoenix scoffs, "You're still committing to this Guang act." Kyung-soo stands tall, radiating an intense aura. "If fear of that monk binds you, let it go. I am going to end him, once and for all." Her eyes widen in disbelief. "You, face Lord Buddha." She bursts into manic laughter. "That monster defeated even the legendary Guang. You're dreaming." She sneers. "You will never touch him." Kyung-soo reveals the truth. His original body was a wreck, shattered by years of hellish training and childhood trauma. It was a shortcut to power, but the body was merely a consumable tool, and the damage had become irreversible. The final mission was the nail in the coffin, the breaking point for his mortal shell. It was a suicide mission for the true religion. He survived, but his body was destroyed beyond repair, a fact she knows well. "But this vessel is different," he declares, clenching his fist. "It has been forged with diligence, allowing me to move with a speed and fluidity my old self could only dream of. This body is pristine, a blank canvas of limitless potential." He got lucky. Had he stolen any other body, the outcome would be uncertain. But with this vessel, once he masters it, that monk is a dead man walking. Phoenix freezes, the realization hitting her like a truck. The aura, the knowledge, the arrogance. You really are Guang." The protagonist confirms it with a nod. "Now choose. Surrender and live, or fall right here." Silence hangs heavy as the girl weighs her fate. Meanwhile, outside the warehouse, Hee-jin worries. Will Kyung-soo be all right? Ya-young takes charge. "Reinforcements arrive in 30 minutes. We grab everyone and move. But first, stabilize Sang-muk. His injuries are critical." The injured man snarls through the pain. "Touch me, and I'll drag you all to hell with me." Ya-young sighs. "Then I'll just use one finger to silence you." Terror flashes in his eyes. "Wait. The patches in my pocket. Put them on me. All of them." What kind of insanity is this? The girl snaps. Sang-muk writhes in agony, screaming, "Just shut up and do it. Hurry." Ya-young glares at him coldly. "These are highly volatile stimulants, and you're already overdosing. I'm not feeding your addiction just so you can die faster." A voice echoes from the shadows, dripping with amusement. "That is correct." At the entrance, the silhouettes of judgment stand waiting. April sneers, noting the stash is enough for a week, while his brother July finishes the thought. Sang-muk flinches in terror as the girl demands their identity. April chants the man's name like a funeral dirge. He leans in, voice dripping with mock pity, asking what tragedy reduced a warrior to this pathetic state. "You used to stand tall like an ancient oak," April scoffs. "Now, you're nothing but withered kindling." They were sent to stop that woman, yet here Sang-muk stands, trembling like a leaf. It all adds up. He was the pillar supporting the Black Vesper Syndicate. She demands to know if he was stationed here to intercept her. The accusation catches him off guard, but the girl smirks, claiming she possesses something far more enticing than the thrill of defeating her. "Did she offer you a taste?" she asks, flashing the illicit substances. April concludes that chasing a woman like that is exactly what left him rotting in this deplorable condition. "I warned you," April sighs, shaking his head. "Countless times I told you about the dangers of women, but you turned a deaf ear." July interrupts, calling out to his brother with a languid tone. "There's nothing wrong with women, brother. It's just that specific witch and her poison." April snaps back, his obsession with physique taking over. "There's plenty wrong with them. They are frail creatures who can't even properly train their upper bodies." July counters smoothly, "Perhaps, but you must admit, their lower body strength is on an entirely different level." Sang-muk stammers, asking what brings the legendary Le Pedoza brothers here. April grins. "It's obvious. They are hunting that woman, and they want her location now." Scenes shift to a somber walk. Guang carries Phoenix on his back, her weight familiar. She whispers that this moment drags up ghosts from their past. "Save your breath," Guang commands, his voice tight. "Conserve your energy for the surrender." But he asks if the memory still haunts her. Flashback to the day destiny aligned. The master, known only as Buddha, called over young Guang. "This is the child," he announced. "The one who survived the entrance trial. From this day forth, you are a unit," Buddha decreed. "Teach her, mold her, spar until she is ready." The memory sharpens. A young girl crashes into the dirt, her sword skittering away. Young Bai Guang stands over her, victory effortless. "Weak," he spits. "How did you pass the rite of passage with zero skill?" She trembles, confessing she woke up trapped under a pile of corpses, the only one left breathing. Bai Guang's eyes narrow. "Luck," he scoffs. "You lack the skill to be here." Tears well in her eyes. "I'll do anything," she pleads, desperate. "Just please, don't report me to Master Buddha." Bai Guang watches, silence stretching between them. Finally, he offers a hand. "Get up." He sighs. "I won't tell. When I pass the gate, I swore an oath to keep my future partner alive. That is my burden." Hope flickers in her eyes. "Do you promise?" She extends a trembling pinky. Bai Guang stares at it, confused. "It's a promise," she explains, her voice soft. "You link fingers to seal the vow." "My mother taught me," she whispers. "Will you promise?" Bai Guang hesitates, then links his finger with hers. A sacred pact, moments before Buddha's shadow fell upon her. But reality was cruel. The agents forced the poison down her throat, enslaving her to the substance. "I knew it," Phoenix murmurs in the present, bitter tears falling. "A promise you couldn't keep. How could you survive in that hell while protecting a burden like me?" She grimaces. "I should have hated the ones who did this, but instead, I directed all that hatred toward you." "You have it wrong," Bai Guang replies, his voice steady as stone. "I never broke my vow. You are still breathing. Do you truly not understand?" He asks, the weight of the truth heavy in the air. "Why do you think you were the sole survivor of that massacre?" Phoenix freezes. Back in the chaos, April crushes Sangmuk's arm like a twig. "Look at you, so thin," he mocks. A tragedy. Ga Young screams for her team to intercept him. Her allies grab riot shields and charge, war cries ringing out. But they freeze when July casually shifts his stance for a kick. Asterisk boom. Asterisk iron meets iron. July's leg dents the shield and sends the attacker flying effortlessly. "Stay down," he warns. "We are merely taking out the trash." "I actually liked you," April sighs at the traitor. Desperate, Sangmuk rips a drug patch from his pocket, eyes wild. April looks on with disgust. "Resorting to chemicals in your final moments. Will you ever stop disappointing us?" "But go ahead," April taunts, opening his arms. "Let us see where this pathetic path of yours leads." Sangmuk slaps the patch onto his neck, veins bulging. "I am terrified of failing you," he roars, power surging. "But for Miss Phoenix," he launches a chemically fueled punch. But April doesn't flinch. Asterisk crack. Asterisk an elbow strike meets the fist, shattering the momentum instantly. Sangmuk flies back, defeated. April shakes his head. "As I said, that road only leads to a bad ending." Now, April dusts himself off. Whose turn is it? The brothers scan the room until their eyes lock onto fresh targets. Excitement flares behind their masks. A predator's smile stretches across April's face. The group freezes. "Interesting?" Ga Young stammers. April dismisses her immediately. "Not you." "I have a strict policy," April declares. "I don't fight women. Men, however. Men with imposing physiques. That is a challenge I crave." His finger points straight at hong-jun. You're the chosen one." "Tell me," April demands, stepping closer. "What sport forged that body?" hong-jun answers warily, "Boxing. For 10 years. "Fool," Ga Young hisses, but April claps his hands in ecstasy. "Excellent. 10 years of discipline. A body forged in combat. I love it." April's gaze shifts to Sean, hungry for more violence. Ga Young shouts, "Don't answer him. Why are you engaging with these monsters?" April snarled at the woman to stay out of it, his killing intent spiking. But suddenly, July raised a hand, his eyes locking onto her. "Wait a second." As July peered closer, a twisted admiration filled his gaze. "That woman, she's incredible. Anayang, was it? That physique is a masterpiece of hellish training." He stepped forward, the predator closing in. In a flash, his hand clamped around her throat. John launched a desperate assault, screaming to let her go, but it was chaos. Meanwhile, April had already pinned hong-jun to the ground. the difference in their strength terrifyingly clear. A dark grin spread across July's face as he looked at the struggling group. "We should be thanking the heavens," he sneered. "This fight is going to be a feast." The scene shifts to the shadowed hallway. Phoenix's voice trembled as she demanded answers. "What did you mean? Why was I the only one who walked out of that hell alive?" Guang sighed. "Because you possess immunity to the poison." Kyung-soo added his own grim realization. "After becoming your sparring partner, I understood one hard truth. No matter how hard you trained against that specific opponent, defeat was your only destiny." His voice broke, heavy with unshed tears and deep regret, the weight of the past crushing him. "Were you that worried about the girl?" he roared in the memory. With a single snap, he broke the wooden staff in two and lunged at the master with killing intent. But Guang caught the attack as if it were nothing. "Calm yourself," he commanded. "Even if you carry the title of the next month, you are still just a brat." A swift chop to the neck silenced him. "Listen closely," Guang whispered to the unconscious boy. "I can teach you a method to ensure she never falls. I know the exact herbal formula they use for the compound. Mithridatism," he explained with cold logic. "If we expose her to minute doses now and slowly increase the potency, her body will forge its own shield. She will become immune." "Why help me?" the boy asked later. Guang smirked. "You're sharp. Letting you live that day was a wise investment." That was the pact, in exchange for a deal with the legendary first generation Guang. He secured the forbidden list of herbs. Days later, the plan began. He approached the girl, offering a steaming bowl of porridge with a hidden purpose. She cheered, diving into the meal with innocent joy, but paused mid-bite, her brow furrowed. "It tastes strange, a little bitter." That was the beginning. For years, he secretly laced her food with the poison. It was cruel, but it worked. When the purge came, she survived. That cruel mercy allowed them to stand here today. "That's a lie," Phoenix cried out in denial. But Guang pressed on, ruthless with the truth. "Think back. Do you remember the unexplained fevers? The rashes that covered your skin? Why hide it?" She sobbed. "Because silence was your shield," he replied. "If you knew, you might have slipped. We needed that opponent to believe you were born with a natural resistance, a prodigy like Sangpi. To save you," he admitted heavily, "I forced your body into a chemical dependency." He had prepared everything to smuggle her out, hidden from the watchful eyes of the Waga organization. He went to retrieve her, ready to leave this hell behind. He shook her shoulders, desperate. "Wake up, we have to vanish before they find us." But she looked at him with glazed eyes, murmuring about staying in this false paradise. Ice flooded Guang's veins. At that moment, he realized he had made a catastrophic miscalculation. "Are you taking me away?" she asked, pulling back. "No, I have to stay. I have something greater to achieve here." The poison hadn't just protected her body, it had twisted her mind. Those substances were the devil's venom, and they had turned her into someone else entirely. Regret crashed over him like a tidal wave. Watching her transformation, he wondered if it would have been kinder to let her face defeat back. Then rather than become this, "Why didn't you run alone?" Phoenix asked, her voice cutting the silence. "I don't know," he confessed. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream tore through the air. "Who was that?" he gasped. Phoenix's face went pale. "That's Sang-moo. I have to warn him." Adrenaline surged as she bolted forward. They burst through the doors, Phoenix screaming for Sang-moo to stop. But the screams had already faded into a gurgle. April stood victorious over Hee-jun, the battle already decided. Kang Yi shouted Kyung-soo's name in panic. Phoenix froze, her eyes widening as she recognized the duo. "This is bad," Guang muttered. "Those brothers, the legend of the cursed twins." The older brother was born with withered legs, the younger with useless arms. Their bodies were their prisons, a trauma that led to them being discarded like trash by their own family. They were thrown into the hunger room, a graveyard for children deemed physically useless, left to rot. But the brothers refused to accept the destiny of despair. They made a blood pact. They would crush their reality or die trying. They didn't just train, they evolved. Through blood and agony, they slaughtered their competition, repeating the cycle hundreds of times until weakness turned into terrifying power. Months later, when Buddha unlocked the hunger room, He didn't find corpses. He found monsters. The older brother had forged legs of steel, sturdy as a wild boar. The younger had sculpted an upper body of immense power, shoulders broad as a giant bird. It was a miracle of pure will. They were no longer discarded trash. They were the two halves of a perfect weapon. The brothers had been reborn as April and July. Back in the chaos, they sneered at the figure slumped on the policeman's back. "Look at the junkie," they mocked. Phoenix's heart stopped as she saw Sangwoo's broken body on the floor. A scream of pure anguish ripped from her throat as she called for her subordinate. April roared with laughter, the sound manic. "I've waited an eternity for this. I loathe you pretenders, walking around with your heads high, acting strong just because you hold a month title. You act special with those fragile bodies," he spat. "But the hierarchy ends today. The January crane, the March cherry blossom, the August mountain, they will all fall. Only we will remain standing." July smirked, a perverse glint in his eye. "Let's spare the cherry blossom, though. She's too beautiful to break just yet." The protagonist realized the gravity of the situation. Facing 1 month was a nightmare. Facing two who fought as a single organism, that was a death sentence. "Is Jay coming?" he gritted out. Her reply was grim. 10 minutes. We have to survive for 10 minutes. Kyung-soo gently sets Phoenix down, his voice grave as he warns that time is slipping away like sand. He can hold these monsters off for 10 minutes, but suddenly his vision swims. A wave of vertigo hits him. What the hell is happening inside him? He glances down, horrified to see his veins bulging and shifting, mutated by the foreign substance. The contact with Phoenix has allowed the toxic compound to invade his system, triggering a violent reaction deep within his blood. Phoenix immediately starts protesting, her pride flaring up. She refuses to leave, complaining that she won't go anywhere unless he carries her. She really has gone soft, but there is no time for arguments. April launches himself forward like a cannonball. He tries to grab Kyung-soo, but his hands clutch only empty air. His target has already vanished. Kyung-soo drops low, executing a swift leg sweep that crashes into April's shin with bone-jarring force. But the giant barely flinches. April scoffs, sneering that such a weak insect bite could never topple a mountain. He swings his massive fists, but growls in frustration as Kyung-soo slips through his guard once again. Kyung-soo analyzes his opponent in a split second. April has mutated. He is larger, stronger, a true beast, but he has sacrificed his speed. April pauses, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. He asks if they have met before. Meanwhile, Kyung-soo feels his strength draining away with every heartbeat. He roars at Phoenix, ordering her to follow the other officers and escape immediately. He promises he will be right behind them, covering their retreat. He barks orders at Jo Daeong to take the children and the team to safety. But July steps in, blocking the exit with a menacing grin, trapping them like rats. Kyung-soo knows the clock is ticking. He sprints into action, his mind racing with one thought: he must end this nightmare, and fast. April winds up a devastating punch, laughing that he is finally enjoying this. Kyung-soo ducks under the blow, aiming for the stomach. But April shifts mid-strike to a lethal elbow drop. Kyung-soo barely dodges in time. Watching from the sidelines, Phoenix realizes the terrifying truth. Kyung-soo is actually matching the monster blow for blow. A bitter thought stings her. She has always been a burden to him. Gritting her teeth against the self-loathing, she reaches into her jacket. She whispers that this ends now. April taunts his opponent, noting that while Kyung-soo has a warrior's physique, he is slowing down. It is a pity. Since his blood is contaminated, April refuses to devour him. "Say goodbye to your life," April sneers, his fist descending like a falling star. But suddenly, a sharp noise echoes through the chaotic room. April freezes, shocked as Phoenix intervenes, halting his fatal attack. She whispers a heartbreaking apology to Kyung-soo, knowing she will never get the chance to turn around and confess her feelings. April roars at the woman to move, but Phoenix stands her ground. She declares that this time, she will be the one to save him. The Phoenix drug is not simple. It has layers, from the tears created by the original Phoenix P to the Sang P. and the upgraded version known as guang. The level of euphoric satisfaction and physical godhood one receives depends entirely on the version consumed. But power always comes with a price. The risks that follow once the effects wear off are catastrophic. The most potent of them all was guang. It was a masterpiece of chemistry, strong enough to render the Sang-Pi version obsolete with a single dose. However, there existed a forbidden stage above guang, a level of power that even the higher-ups were oblivious to. Phoenix had noticed her body building a resistance to the guang stages. In secret, she had dedicated her life to refining the formula into a concentrated essence. The result of her blood, sweat, and alchemy was a substance she named Phoenix Tears. She had vowed to only drink it when the guang version failed her, or when destiny demanded a sacrifice. And looking at the vial, Phoenix was certain of one thing. If she drank the Phoenix Tears stored in that tempered glass vial, the next place she would open her eyes would be the depths of hell. Without hesitation, she grabs April's fist. April is stunned by her audacity. He screams at the girl to get her filthy hands off him and launches his other fist to crush her. But Phoenix is faster. She strikes his back with explosive force, making the giant cry out in agony. He retreats, cursing the wretched woman, until a strange sensation washes over him. His hand, it is trembling. He can feel the drug's effects invading his system. April screams in horror, realizing this crazy woman has infected him. His pure, perfect body has been contaminated by her touch. Phoenix leans in, whispering her final words to Kyung-soo. April demands to know what she did, furious that she dared detain him. Phoenix smirks, noting that just as she suspected, he is a junkie too immune to normal drugs. But not this. April roars for her to take it back, his pride wounded. He claims his strength comes from willpower, not chemicals. Insisting he is all natural, he lunges forward, burying a fist into her abdomen. He declares he will crush her for her insolence. Phoenix coughs up a mouthful of blood, but she doesn't waste it. She spits it directly into April's eyes, blinding him with crimson. She moves like a shadow. As April curses her name, she grapples his arm, locking him down with her entire body weight. April screams, calling her a damn junkie. Phoenix ignores him, screaming at the police officers to grab their colleagues and get the hell out of there. Sanjian hesitates, asking why she is suddenly sacrificing herself for them. Ganji snaps back that the why doesn't matter right now. They need to save Kyung-soo, the captain, and the children. But suddenly, Jolo steps into their path, his aura menacing. He snarls that no one is leaving this room alive. The group trembles in fear, but Ganji notices something on the floor. She steps on the discarded drug patches, and a desperate idea ignites. In the background, April is screaming for Phoenix to get off him, thrashing wildly on the ground in a battle of wills. Jolo asks if his brother needs assistance. April yells for him to just get this crazy woman off. Jolo approaches, but sneers that he will slaughter the cops first. Suddenly, Jolo freezes. He stares in shock as Ganji slaps a drug patch directly onto her own face, a twisted smile forming as she whispers that it feels good. A cop using illegal substances, she has truly lost her mind. Empowered by the drug, the girl rushes forward, slamming another patch onto Jolo's thigh. Terror seized him. He looked down, paralyzed by the sight of the device latching onto his thigh like a parasitic leech. "Get this filth off me," he shrieked in disgust. Jang Yi didn't hesitate. Ryan Yan, grab Kyung-soo. Hai-jun, secure the kids. In a heartbeat, they hauled their charges to safety. There was no time to think. They turned tail and ran, fleeing the chaotic scene before the Reaper could claim them. "Hang in there," Xiangyan urged, voice trembling. "Medics are inbound." But the protagonist felt the world tilting, his consciousness slipping into the void as he cast one last glance back. Meanwhile, the battle raged. Phoenix had April locked in a brutal armbar, torquing the joint. "Say goodbye to your arm, Appa," she hissed with a twisted smile. "Little brother, help me get this witch off," Joho screamed. "Get her off yourself, you moron." April roared back. He writhed like a trapped beast until snap he wrenched himself free. Bam! April's fist connected with Phoenix's jaw, followed by a second crushing blow. "You crazy bitch," he spat, scrambling to his feet, rage radiating off him in waves. "I'm going to gut that red-haired cop right now," Joho snarled. But Phoenix wasn't finished. She tossed a cluster of bombs, her eyes manic. "Where do you think you're going?" The grenade clattered to the floor. "Nobody leaves," Phoenix declared, her aura flaring with desperate intent. "It's just us three now. We have unfinished business." She smiled grimly. "We settle this here and now. If I go down, I'm taking you bastards to hell with me." Memories flooded back, a rainy night from a lifetime ago. Guang had come to her, drenched in sorrow. "I took a life," he whispered, his voice hollow. She had heard the rumors he had become one of the months. But looking at him, the protagonist realized he hadn't gained a title. He had lost his soul. "Have you ever killed?" he asked. "No," she lied. Guang extended a trembling pinky finger. "Please, promise me you won't change." She sealed the vow. From that day, Guang walked the path of blood as a monk, hunting down killers to atone for his own darkness. But the road to redemption was paved with failure. Innocent blood stained his hands. He suffered under the judgment of Lord Buddha, yet his skills were too valuable to discard. He was a weapon that refused to break. Phoenix, however, embraced the abyss. She became a monk who dealt in misery, dragging countless souls into the drug-fueled nightmare she controlled. She felt nothing, no guilt for breaking her promise to Guang. In her twisted mind, he was the one who had failed. She was dead wrong. She had slaughtered people right before Guang's eyes, fueling a hatred that now burned between them. Back in reality, judgment arrived. April buried his fist in her gut thud. Joho grabbed her hair, driving his knee into her face with bone-shattering force. As pain exploded, she wondered, "Why did I become this monster?" Then, Kyungsu's words echoed. It was the drugs. They stole your soul. Legend says sinners are reborn as insects or livestock, forced to suffer in the muck before earning humanity again. Guang had clung to his humanity, fighting for a chance to correct his sins in the next life. What about me? She thought, blood clouding her vision. Will I return as a bug, cattle, or will I be dragged back into this hellish existence? Broken and beaten, she lay sprawled at the feet of the brothers like a discarded doll. "She looks wrecked," April sneered. "Withdrawal? Nah," Joho laughed darkly. "We just beat the life out of her." "Drugs," she rasped. The brothers cackled. Even at death's door, the junkie wanted a fix. It was pathetic. It was disgusting. "Want one last hit for the road to hell?" April taunted, peeling a patch off the grime-stained floor. "Take back what you said about us." He grinned, looming over her. "As a parting gift, I'll send you off high." "Speak," he commanded. Phoenix stared at the drug. Her body screamed for it, tears streaming down her face. But then the promise surfaced. Guang's crying face flashed in her mind. Don't change. She clenched her jaw. No. She would die sober. She wasn't like these trash brothers. With her final breath, she wouldn't beg. She would apologize to every soul she had destroyed. April squeezed her throat, mocking her natural beauty, but she didn't hear him. From the depths of her shattered heart, she repented. Even if she could never walk alongside Guang again. "I'm sorry," she gasped. "I was wrong. Insect, livestock, dirt, it didn't matter." She didn't need to be human. She didn't even want to exist anymore. Just please, never let me be born in a place like this again." Tears fell as April confusedly asked, What are you blabbering about?" Snap. He ended her misery. April stared at his trembling, vein-popped hands. "I'm tainted now," he muttered, shaking off the feeling. "Doesn't matter. Let's move." "We aren't done yet. You want to chase the cops looking like that?" Joho asked, eyeing his brother's battered state. "Backup is almost here." "Who cares?" April spat, bloodlust in his eyes. "I'll kill them all." Joho stepped back. "I'm actually scared of you right now." They still needed the orange-haired woman, but the unknown number of reinforcements was a gamble with death. "Forget it," April snapped. "If you're scared, stay here. I go alone." Joho sighed. "Damn it. I have no choice, do I?" Suddenly, the comms crackled to life. It was Orchid. "Lapata brothers. Is Phoenix neutralized?" "She's dead. We're moving out," April confirmed. "Negative," Orchid commanded. "Backup is swarming the mountain. "You're compromised. Target the club warehouse," Orchid ordered coldly. "Burn it down, destroy all evidence. Then exfiltrate through the back. Leave nothing behind." Heeding the master's strict command, the duo snatches up the artifacts, scrambling to prepare them for the ritual. The villains stage the scene around the fallen phoenix, tainting her farewell with mocking disrespect. April spat words of contempt at her lifeless form, while Julo added a final, sarcastic insult. The brothers ignited the flames, urging haste to escape the inferno they had created. And so, amidst the crackling fire, the final farewell to the phoenix burned into the night. In the sterile silence of the hospital, Kyung-soo jolted awake, his heart pounding. He gazed out the window, his head throbbing from the aftershocks of the battle. A small bird rested on a branch nearby, a silent witness to the end. The Phoenix's Polonia operation was officially over. Deep within a secluded Buddhist temple, the leader known as Buddha held the November card. With a crunch, he crushed it in his fist and summoned the agent known as Orchid. The order was absolute: gather the months from January to October. The ceremony was about to begin. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Ya-young was unraveling, her words lost in hysteria. Kyung-soo watched her from a distance, a heavy shadow casting over his eyes. She looked completely broken. A voice called out from behind him. It was Senior Superintendent Hong-jun. He asked the veteran gently if he was all right, and if they could share a word. In the quiet of the waiting room, Kyung-soo asked how much time he had lost. Hong-jun's grim reply came quickly. 2 days had passed since the phoenix fell. Kyung-soo nodded slowly, regret washing over him. He knew he should have taken her alive to extract the truth, but death had claimed her first. Hong-jun sighed, revealing the chaos outside. Public opinion was turning. People were calling the police's lethal force during the Polonia operation excessive. Yet, the political battlefield was just as loud. Opposing factions argued it was the only necessary choice, defending the ruthless tactic. A deep fracture was splitting the public. Kyung-soo narrowed his eyes, asking if they were condemning the very soldiers who had bled for the cause. Hong-jun gave a weary smile. Politicians were predictable creatures. If Party A drew a circle, Party B would inevitably demand a triangle. And the reverse was just as true. If Party B held the circle, Party A would fight for the triangle simply to oppose them. Kyung-soo muttered that it was a mess. Hong-jun then dropped another bombshell. Superintendent Kim was wavering. Not just him. Officers Wang and Liang wanted to hand in their badges and quit the force entirely. Kyung-soo stared in disbelief. Hong-jun reassured him immediately, saying he had already dragged them back into line. Kyung-soo scoffed that they were nothing but trouble. Hong-jun cut him off, stating that was just the summary. First, they had a destination to reach. When Kyung-soo asked where, Hong-jun's expression darkened. It was time for the farewell ceremony for the fallen special forces. Kyung-soo hesitated, admitting he had never attended a funeral. Hong-jun ordered him to suit up, but the protagonist paused, insisting he had one urgent stop to make first. Meanwhile, at the Waga temple, shadows gathered. The meeting commenced beneath the imposing Buddhist statue. The elite members of the organization, the months, had assembled. January Crane was noticeably absent. February Plum glanced around, noting that the crane had ghosted them once again. March Cherry Blossom flipped her hair, scoffing. He probably thought they were idle, but she had cleared a packed schedule just to be here. April Black Lespedeza sneered at her, asking why she pretended to be busy when she didn't even have a husband to care for. May Orchid intervened, telling April to cool it, unless he wanted her to shut him up. June Peony laughed, assuring him her dogs didn't bite much. July Clover sat back, wondering aloud if he should ask Cherry Blossom out on a date once the boring ceremony concluded. August Moon Mountain was also missing. September Chrysanthemum grew impatient, demanding to know when Buddha would grace them with his presence. October Maple Leaf murmured that the phoenix had truly fallen. Suddenly, the heavy doors groaned open. Buddha entered, his presence filling the room. October noted the absence of the crane and the mountain. Buddha replied coldly that the mountain was busy disposing of the phoenix's remains. When February asked about January, Buddha waved his hand dismissively. January was out of the equation. April grumbled that it was because they were guang, the special cards. Cherry Blossom retorted that she was a guang too, yet she had the decency to show up. Buddha cut through the chatter. He asked if they knew the Phoenix was defeated. February nodded, acknowledging she had made a significant impact before her death. Cherry Blossom asked if they were here to select the new November and December. Buddha shook his head. That was not the agenda. The reason for the gathering was singular. One of them had to neutralize Senior Superintendent General Hong-jun. The room rippled with confusion. A mere police officer? Chrysanthemum scoffed, suggesting a lowly disciple could handle such grunt work. Not a month. May Orchid agreed. They had evolved. They were no longer the scrappy organization of the past. Buddha's eyes narrowed. He revealed a chilling fact long ago. He had sent the powerhouse Guang to stop Hong-jun. Chrysanthemum paused. Guang was a beast who only hunted dangerous prey. July frowned, noting the cop didn't look like much. Buddha's voice dropped an octave. This time was different. Guang had returned from that fight broken and critically injured. This cop was a monster. June Peony gasped, wondering how a human could be that strong. July looked at the photo again, unable to reconcile the image with the power. April insisted Guang must have gone easy on him, but Orchid corrected him the injuries were real. Even Buddha admitted he had trouble believing it, so caution was key. The mission wasn't just to neutralize him. It was to ensure he could never track their shadows again. But the shadow of death looms close. Their hunter has returned, and his hands are stained with blood. Trembling, he asks, who has the power to stop a monster like him? The funeral air is heavy, and Hong-jun shudders as a sudden, ominous chill strikes his spine. Meanwhile, the protagonist scales the rugged mountain peaks, clad in his training gear. His mind drifts back to the edge of death, remembering how consciousness faded that day. The Phoenix's final words were not a goodbye, but a lifeline, a specific set of coordinates. Standing at the destination, he scans the ground. What lies beneath? If it is buried deep like the last time, he shudders to think of the swarm of insects waiting in the dark soil. Digging through this drain would take an eternity. Just as patience wears thin, the sudden flutter of a bird catches his sharp eye. He follows the creature's gaze toward a strange rock, and the bird makes its move. Far away at Higuksa Temple, Orchid finally locates the master in his chambers. She advises caution, her voice laced with worry. Confronting a police executive under such heavy public scrutiny could be a fatal mistake after the recent incident. Yet, the master remains calm. A dangerous glint in his eye is not a problem, he replies. In fact, this scrutiny makes it even better. The public reaction is intense, and the situation is becoming dangerously volatile.